Good evening. It's Patrick here from Have Cheetah Will View, and it is Thursday night, and the last show of the week. And we are going to be welcoming Knight from the Nightwatch Zone as our guest. He'll be here shortly. This will probably be a little bit new for you guys to see Knight on the other side of the. Uh, Normally he presents. Now he'll be the one answering some questions. Because I think we all wanted to know a little bit more about the man, the myth, the living legend that is Knight. Uh, as you guys all know, or are fans of his channel, where he has his brother Killian, Coriander, and unofficial Nightwatch Zone. Well, actually official, Jerry. Yeah, we. I sort of forced Jerry onto the zone, but I love their channel. I love his channel. I think those guys have overall probably the best channel on the tube as far as I'm concerned. As far as content goes in the horror community, the film community is my favorite one. Um, I live for Monday nights. Monday Night Slasher Club is absolutely a hoot. Of course, Night is also the one of the and Coriander are also, along with Ben from the Cadaver Club, are also co-hosting with me the IFC Midnight show. So, uh, uh, yeah, I mean, it's a fun show. Fun show to do. But yeah. Good night, folks. Um, so you know what? They do have a lot of fun, Hobbs. I mean, you have your own favorite show you watch. I'm sure. Yeah, there it was. Good night. Uh, I Michael. Even you see, even Waffles knows. Even Waffles knows. I do. I like the Nightwatch Zone. I think they have a lot of fun. They have a lot of they talk about a lot of different things, a lot of different films, a lot of different ideas. Um, and it's a lot of fun. And you never know what's coming on. That's the thing about it. Is, hey Jaden, hey Katie. Those with community tabs, if you don't mind sharing us out, that would be awesome. Because I don't have one yet. Um, Yeah, but I mean, I'll think about the different shows that they show on the channel. And it's inspiring, like it makes me mad because it makes me mad at myself more than anything else because yeah, I definitely could see where it makes you want to improve when you watch the night, Night Watch Zone. And the thing about it is too, it was really remarkable with the fact that they lost their channel through some, who knows? I mean, it's one of the questions I was going to ask him if he ever found out exactly what exactly went wrong. Um, uh, uh, no, your channel doesn't suck, Hobbs. Neither does mine. My channel doesn't suck. Neither does yours. I don't know anybody's channels that suck. Honestly, if someone came up to me right now and said, "Is there a channel that you would not recommend?" I can't tell you one channel that I would sit there and say I wouldn't watch it. As far as horror film content goes. I think every channel has its strengths. So no, I don't think any channel sucks. Yeah, I enjoy every one. Yeah, I don't know why you would say that. that's that's Cheap Pete, my friend, my brother, the Pumpkin King. Um, so Nightwatch, his channel the zone got collapsed by YouTube, and it could have been really easy to just give up, but Knight and Killian and Coriander came back, and they're going to be hitting 1,000, if not like tomorrow, like next couple of days. Um, what what did I what? I don't know what I did. Um, so yeah, I mean, if they came back, they got up. They're going to be hitting 1,000 here momentarily, which is remarkable considering that their channel they had a reboot from ground zero, and everybody and has really supported them. and now they're going to be back to where they were when it happened before. So that's awesome. I mean, you would think after losing a channel, it would be harder to rebuild it, necessarily, because you don't remember exactly who's on your who's subscribed to you from before, and you just have to hope that they come back, and that's a big thing. That's a lot of chance, a lot of coincidence. Like, oh, I hope XYZ finds my channel again. That's why it's so hard when people lose their channels. It's backbreaking to try to put it back, try to reestablish it. The man, the myth.
Hey.
Yeah, I always go up a tiny bit early, so we are live. We're live. We're talking about your channel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're talking about how completely remarkable it was that you had to restart all over again,
Yeah.
and you were able to do that.
Yeah, yeah, sometimes I still don't believe it. So seriously. I mean, it's crazy, man. It really is.
I mean, well, what's not so crazy though, Knight, is the fact that I'm sure I'm one of many. I knew you'd be back to 1,000 by the end of the year. There was no doubt in my mind that you tag back to 1,000.
Well, I'm glad you thought so, because I mean, seriously, and it's not even trying to make it sound more than what it was, but I really didn't know. I really didn't know, all I knew is that after the first couple days, of dealing with it, I had a couple conversations and decided to try it, and yeah, things have worked out really well. I mean, I'd be lying if I was to say that for 100% I knew that it was going to work out the way it has. But I'm
I,
glad that it has. I'm glad that it has.
well, I know that you were relentless in whatever you had recorded some backlog of material, and you had a catalog, and you
Yeah.
were relentless in reestablishing that. And
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
thought that really helped out a lot, because you want to get it back out there, because it's going to take a little time to, especially since a lot of that content you had already gone through.
Yes.
You were going through some of the same stuff you already reviewed,
Yep.
and you can hear it in your voice, like, "Oh, I can't believe I have to do this one again."
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like,
Absolutely.
and that's got to be really frustrating, because like, to say you just did the Halloween franchise, you lose the channel, then you come back and you got to redo the whole damn thing again.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
well,
if
well,
you
what
don't
we
if you
did,
didn't have, yeah, go ahead.
yeah, we had done the Friday the 13th and the Nightmare franchise. We hadn't done Halloween yet, but we lost 2/3 of the Nightmare episodes because I had some stuff saved. I didn't have everything saved, which I've learned from that. But um yeah, no, so I mean, it's still the same type of scenario because there were other episodes that we had really spent a lot of time on and prepped and seemed that people enjoyed it, and then we had to just jump back. We did redo a few things. There's still some stuff that we haven't redone yet, to be quite honest.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You still got
Oh yeah.
you still got stuff in reserve.
Well, topics. Yeah, episodes that we had done that we've got to redo. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Because
Hmm.
how long had your channel actually been up? Because I was introduced to you through Phil, who just popped his head in here. I was
Hey,
introduced
Phil.
to Phil. Phil's
Um,
kids.
yeah, I think we were up for about 6 months. We were up for about 6 months, maybe seven. Because when I started the channel, I didn't actually do an actual video for a few weeks because I was kind of trying to figure out what I was going to do. And even when I did it, it was kind of as a test. So, full-fledged the channel, might have been going, for about 6 months. And yeah, it was crazy, man. As a matter of fact, I think Phil, and it was so cool of him. I think Phil was the first person. I'll never forget it. It was a Sunday morning, and he messages me, and I had just gotten out of work because I work overnights. And he says, and we had just done our Jaws episode, which was
Yeah.
a huge episode. Phil was so awesome on it, and he
I
messaged
was the
me.
one that told Phil.
Oh, you do? Okay, because Phil said
Yeah.
to me, he said, "Well, what happened to the channel? I was looking for the
Yeah.
Jaws episode and this, and that." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And then that was
That
it.
was I told Phil because I had actually went over there. It was still up. It was still up. I went
Mhm,
over there, or went over there because I was talking about it. I was actually cutting and pasting the episode and put it into my channel to, tell everybody to go over and take a look.
mhm,
And so by the time I went on the channel and I clicked on it to grab your address and then put it on my channel and then go back, it was
mhm.
gone. It was gone. And I
Yeah.
and I reached out to Phil and I said, "Uh-oh," because I said, the channel's gone. It's just it's
Mhm.
like it got taken down. I was heartbroken. I mean, I think
Yeah.
I'm sure everybody in the community was too.
Yeah. It was rough. I mean, but like again, I'm not gonna try to make it sound like, it was like, oh, well, that's okay. We'll get over it. No, I was really messed up. It was at least a good 3 days or so because I mean, you know how it is, Patrick, and anyone else here who's a YouTuber. I mean, w- w- each episode is easily a few hours of prep before and then after we're done live. I'm like, editing or descriptions or whatever. So, we had put a lot of time into it and it was just gone. So, but
Yeah,
Phil reached out, you reached out, um, Gore, American Werewolf, a lot. Corey, obviously the crew, Corey and Need Gore and Trenchy and Marty and those guys. And but yeah, it was about 3 days where I was just like, I'm telling you, it was bad.
yeah, yeah. Did you ever officially get the word? I mean, you were still talking. I mean, when you and I talked about this, I asked you a long time ago. I said, "What did they tell you? I mean, did they not tell you anything about what happened, or
you
did
know,
they just say it, or did you just talking to a robot?"
Basically talking to a robot. I did speak with someone, or at least I believe, well, I'm assuming that they were a person kind of outside of the circle, but kind of inside of the YouTube circle. And he basically he threw some stuff at me. Well, maybe it's this or maybe it's that. He was talking about social media links and all this stuff. That's a bunch of crap because I mean, there's so many people that have so many, links to their social medias, and I had started to do it, maybe in the last half of that channel's life, you know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't really that big into it at first, but I started to near the end. And he said he thinks that's what it was. And I'm like, that sounds like a bunch of BS.
Yeah.
And as you know, Need Gore's channel had gotten taken down. And so I talked to Corey quite a bit. Corey, he's a really good friend. And, he told me what he thought. And that sounded like it made a lot more sense, needless to say. And without getting too much into the drama of it, me and you talked about it the other day when I gave you a call on Insta. So I think it might have been something along those lines of,
Oh, oh,
outside
really?
forces. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Whoa. Mind blower. I know exactly what you're
Yeah.
telling me. Wow. Um,
Yep.
what's funny is I actually saw another YouTuber. He lost his channel, and the reason I thought about that and thought about you was when his channel got taken down, he had 1,070 followers.
Wow.
I thought that's what you had too.
It was somewhere around there.
It
It
was.
was, yeah, it was.
And then
Yep.
now it's dark. They were at 1070, and then they got their channel whacked too. They didn't lose their channel, but YouTube took them all the way down to 935, and then
Yeah.
sub froze them, so they couldn't. So they didn't grow. I mean, even now I think they're still at 960.
Oh,
They're
wow.
just struggling just
That-
to get back to the 1,000 mark.
It's horrible,
Um,
man.
It's yeah, that makes sense though, Knight. Yeah, but
Mhm.
about the outside forces, wow, that sucks.
Yeah,
You know what?
it's too bad.
They need to be able to collaborate. You know, it's too easy to go up there and you know and lie on somebody,
Mhm.
and then for them to take advantage of that and to say, okay, the first person that says, you know, they said a bad word, so I'm going to
Mhm.
report it, and then they lose their channel. It's like, come
Yeah.
on, you got to use some common sense here.
Yep.
Um,
I agree.
but I want to circle back because, like I said, this is like an interview, and I mean, I don't think ever, as far as I know, no one's ever asked you any of these questions that I know. So, and
Right.
I, you know, I was really curious because you have your fingers in absolutely every genre of film, and
Mm.
well, maybe not. Well, I don't know. I don't know. That's the thing. That's what I'm going to find out here. Um, because I'm surprised at people. There's some people out there that you would not think that, you know, you see them as horror fans,
Right.
and they're just totally horror. But then all of a sudden you start seeing their collection, and all of a sudden then you start seeing other films in there, and you go like, oh, maybe they're not just a die-hard horror fan after all. Maybe they do have other interests,
Oh
and
yeah,
I think,
absolutely.
I think that's really interesting.
Mm.
Uh, Thank you, Hobbs. Um,
Hey, Hobbs.
all right. So let me, because Hobbs is here. Hobbs is sitting over here saying that he thinks that his channel sucks, which I don't. Um,
Eh.
I gotta ask you a question, and
Mhm.
this is to the chat too, because I'm sitting here with that on my mind. Have you ever seen a channel that you've just gone to? I mean, as far as film channel, not
Mhm.
anything else but a film channel. Have you ever gone to a channel where you've gotten there and it was so bad that you wouldn't go back? Or do you think,
No.
oh, me either?
No, I think, the thing this is the thing that always has amazed me, and when I started, you know, the channel, all I kept thinking about was I'll learn the technical stuff, right? But I know that I love movies, right? And I know that I especially love horror. So I kind of just said to myself, let me have that be the driving force, and everything else will fall into place at some point. And any channel I've gone to in the film community, and it's not just horror, by the way, but I've never seen one that I thought didn't have some worth to it.
Right.
Um, the only way I could see that being even possible if it's a person who you can some way or somehow tell that they don't really enjoy film or movies and they're just kind of posing. But I can't imagine anyone would take the time to have a channel be like that because, loving a film, a movie or a genre or loving a song or something artistic, it shows in some way, shape, or form, whether it's your knowledge, your personality, your smile, in your eyes, your heart, the way you communicate. And that's what's special about it to me. That's what I feed off of is seeing someone's enjoyment in what they are either talking about or what they represent. And yeah, I've never seen and Hobbs has a great channel. Good
I
Lord.
know. I love Hoff's channel.
I do too, man.
He's one of the first channels. He's one of the first. He's actually like I think he's actually the third channel that I actually connected with after Reject Films and Horrific Nightmares JM. Hobbs was the third channel that I subbed to when I got onto Tube.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I can't I remember when I first came in contact with his channel, and last October we did this thing. It was kind of a wacky idea, but I did this thing where it was like a quote challenge type of thing, your favorite horror movie quote or whatever. But there were a lot of people in the community and people, some that weren't able to join it because I didn't know anybody, right? People didn't know me either. But I remember going to Hobbs' channel and I thought to myself, man, he's just a cool dude.
he is.
Like if you're either knowledgeable or you're funny or you're passionate or you're just a cool person, people like Hobbs or like Ben, these guys, they're just cool people. Like you almost don't even care what they talk about. You just like listening to them. You know what I mean? So, people like Hobbs and quite a few others, obviously, early, they were pretty inspirational.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, Hobbs is Hobbs is, not only is he my co-host on the Midnight Hour, but he's a close personal friend now. It's like a brother to me. And
Hmm.
I don't say that very lightly, but
Yeah.
I think everybody in this, I think most of the people in the community got to know other people because Hobbs was introducing everybody.
Hmm.
He was like the welcome wagon. It's like,
Yep.
oh, this is a channel you need to know. This is a channel you need to know. This is, because of him, that's how I met Phil. I met Phil because I met him through Hobbs, and then
Hmm. Yep.
through Phil, I met you. So
Hmm.
he's always introducing everybody.
Yep.
Um, so no, I was just thinking about that when he said that about his channel. I'm going like, I've never been on a channel, and people who know me know I'm pretty candid. Um, uh, I have never been on a movie channel yet that I have not liked.
Right.
Even if it's just not, maybe it's not the stuff I watch per se, but
Hmm.
I love watching other people do it. Uh,
Right.
I mean, I'm talking about film reviewers.
Yeah.
So I'm talking about film reviewers. Um,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. I mean, there's some channels, but I'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to go back to when you first started out. I mean,
Hmm.
um, were you all? I mean, how old were you when you got in? When you first got into movies? I mean, like, do
Oh,
you remember
wow.
how old you were and what did you watch?
Um,
Growing up.
yeah, I mean, my parents, for me and my brother, my parents were huge movie fans. So our household, was a movie, TV and also a music household, and my parents, they loved the classics. I grew up in the 80s. So, my parents loved Stallone. So I grew up on Rambo and Rocky. They loved, you know, Schwarzenegger. They loved, Bruce Willis, Clint Eastwood. My dad is a huge Westerns fan. So, of course, I got into Westerns at a pretty early age. I would say, I can't remember exactly my earliest age of just kind of being a movie fan, but I could say it's easily at least by 7 years old. I remember when we watched First Blood, and I'm just kind of like sitting there in the living room on the floor, and my parents are watching it on the couch, and you just kind of get into it, and that's what really started my love of movies. And as you know, back then, video stores were a big thing, renting movies. And so for us, for me and my brother, when my parents would say, okay, on the weekend, we'll let you, rent two movies or whatever, that was like,
Big.
that was big. That was like a treat. We were being treated. And when I got into horror, it was one night that they had a marathon of Friday the 13th, and that was really the first movie that I was able to sit through because I was really scared. So once I was able to sit through Friday the 13th, especially the ending with the stinger, I was like, "Oh, I survived. I can watch these movies." And so from that point on, and I was probably, I don't know, maybe 8, something like that. From that point on, when we would go to the video store, we'd go in. My parents would go to the new rentals, and my brother, he'd kind of just be wherever, and I'd go straight to horror, and I just started to watch horror movies.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's what I watched too. That was my thing. When I grew up, I mean, as a fanboy, I grew up. Oh shoot, I froze here. Uh, Crap. Hold on, like this happens to me every time I start my stream.
oh, that's
Oh,
okay.
no, there I am. Okay, that was weird. Okay, so yeah, every time, that's what I used to do too. We used to go down there and get horror films.
Yeah.
My brother Philip, he always rented out American Ninja
Yes.
every weekend. In
Yeah.
fact,
I mean, the video store, I'm telling you, man, that was like one of the coolest things. I literally could spend so much time in there just, learning about movies and seeing what movies I eventually want to watch and all of that. I mean, it's too bad that we still don't have them because watching movies and discovering movies is such a different animal now. You know what I mean? Where you've got everything, online or digital right at your fingertips. It was so cool going into a physical place. It's like going to a library.
Yeah.
You know, it's a magical place to go into a library and discovering these cool books or whatever. Well, with the video store, you're discovering these cool movies, you know.
Chat is just blowing up here. Everybody's connecting with everybody. Katie's mentioning we're all so welcoming. Yeah, we love
Yeah,
everybody. The
absolutely.
zone is at 974, so you're 26 away from that 1,000 mark. You'll get it. You'll get it by the end of the year. I said it. I said that's what I said. I said by the end of the year you'll reach 1,000.
Yeah, well,
Ricky's here from old AF reviewers. Uh,
Ricky.
Ricky goes, yo, Patrick and Knight. No, yeah, I was like that too.
Mm,
I didn't get into the video aspect of it until because I came when I came as far as my fanboyhood goes, I came up through comic books and novels,
hmm
and then radio programs.
hmm
That's how I came up through. I didn't get into horror itself, as far as the modern horror until later,
Yeah.
until I got to high school. And then it was Friday the 13th as well. And
hmm
Halloween 78, which put me to
hmm
sleep even back then.
Stop.
I'm telling
Stop.
you, I was like, I was sitting in the theater. I'm going like, now I used to go a lot. I used to go a lot. I used to go to the Montclair Theater in California, and my mom would drop us there, and we go
Mhm.
there. We go there to see all the midnight movies. And
Yeah.
I remember the first time when the Dawn of the Dead came out, right?
Ooh.
When Dawn of the Dead came out, my mother's husband dropped us off. It was they knew us there at the theater. They knew us
hmm
every Friday or Saturday. We were coming up there watching the midnight show.
hmm
That for the Dawn of the Dead, they made us go to bring our parents. They said, "No, we
Wow.
want your parents to come over here and say that it's okay for you to watch this
hmm
movie because it was such so gory."
Right.
So they said, "Oh yeah, this gets a hardcore." So we go inside there and we sitting there watching Dawn of the Dead, and then we all laugh because like 2 or 3 people were running out of the theater and they're throwing up in their hands. First
Oh,
time,
wow.
yeah. Oh God,
Wow.
yeah. The biker scene where the guy, they're eating his stomach out,
Yeah.
and the two women got up and just ran out there. They were getting sick. Uh,
Mm. I've only seen that one time in a theater where someone actually got sick, and I
what
would
was
have.
the movie?
It was Hannibal,
Oh,
the sequel to Silence of the Lambs, and I couldn't believe it. Although it was that gross scene where Lecter was cutting Ray Liotta's skull off to operate on his brain, and there was this guy like 2 rows in front of us, and he just started making these noises and and all that type of stuff, and his wife or whoever like helped him up, and they literally ran out of the theater. I was like, wow.
now, your parents, did they ever overlook what you watched? I mean, because
um
action adventure is different from horror.
it is, right? So look, I'm gonna put it to you this way. um I think my mom probably figured I shouldn't have been watching, some of those movies, because I literally everything, I was going through the Friday the 13th movies, Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I can't even think of all the different, the Dead movies, like Dawn of the Dead and all the Day of the Dead. But I think overall she just trusted me as a, as a kid, to know right from wrong, I guess, So
I
I
guess as
think
long
that's
as
what it
you
was.
were, I guess as long as you weren't, screaming at night or
Right.
like that. Now, did you and Killian as kids, did you used to tease each other, try to out scare each other?
I did that to him. Yes. Yes. Many, many times. And it was fun. That's what you do when you're an older brother. It's like a contract. You have to do those types of things. But
What movie was it that you got him scared at?
oh my God, Patrick, it was so many. He used to be so afraid of Freddy Krueger. And I used to love using that one on him. One of the funniest stories, and he probably get a kick out of this. One of the funniest stories is when Michael Jackson's Thriller came out,
Yeah.
the world premiere. It was like all over the planet. It was a world premiere, and we knew, you had seen commercials, tonight, Michael Jackson Thriller. And we knew that it was going to be creepy. We didn't know exactly what. My brother and one of my cousins, because I had 4 cousins that we were very close with, so 6 boys, And so my brother was one of three that punked out. He was like, nope, I can't watch it. I can't watch it. And man, we used to joke him about that for years. For
It might be
years.
making it might be making a comeback.
Right. 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 I mean, but you know, but again, you know, he was a lot younger, so I get it. I get it. And truth be told, once he got to be about, you know, whatever, about 8 or 9 or whatever, he started to kind of get into horror movies too. So we actually, even as kids, we started to watch a lot of these movies together, and it was, you know, it was pretty cool. It was a bonding thing, you know. Matter of fact, if it wasn't for all of that, who knows, I may not even have the channel, because really that's one of the things that made me want to start the channel, is because me and my brother, even as we grew up, we would talk about movies. You know, we'd see a movie or whatever and be like, dude, did you see this movie? And like, no, what is it about? And we'd converse. And then, you know, if we both saw a movie, we'd be like, well, what did you like about it? And we'd blah, 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 blah. And then one day, and this was quite a few years ago, maybe 6 years ago, I said to him, I said, man, we should do something online. We should talk about movies, because we would literally have hour-long conversations
Yeah.
easily, just like that. And I always enjoyed our conversations, and he knew what he was talking about, and I felt like I knew what I was talking about. But we never decided to do it, just for various reasons. You know, sometimes you just never truly believe in yourself all the way. But ultimately, that's what led us to kind of saying, hey, let's do this thing on YouTube. That and the pandemic.
So yeah, I mean, I grew up with my little brothers. I mean, you know, they were significantly younger than me. I used to
Hmm.
tease my brother Peter. I used to tease him with the Friday the 13th.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to do that at
Yeah,
night.
I used to do
And
that
yeah,
too.
he'd be scared shitless in the bedroom, and then
Yeah,
he'd be crying for my mother, and then my mom would get mad at me.
that's
And
right.
but it was worth it. It was worth it.
It
Um,
was.
you know, though, it's like, you know, now, do you remember the first movie that you watched that stood you up on your toes? Like
Hmm.
for me, it was I Spit on Your Grave. That was the movie that
Wow.
I found myself, you know, looking for limit. I found my limit. You know, like I could watch anything, but I couldn't watch that.
Um, Man, that's a great question. I mean, especially, you know, talking about horror, there was, you know, I know there were movies that made me definitely take a step back. When I first saw Hellraiser, that was kind of a moment, because I was still pretty young when Hellraiser came out. And so, you know, just the whole idea of, you know, Pinhead and these demons from you know, these acolytes from hell and all that type of stuff. That was pretty heavy stuff. That kind of got to me. One movie that really creeped me out when I was young, and it's just one of those movies that just did it for me, was a movie called Jacob's Ladder. And I don't well, I know why, but it's not really a horror movie. It's more of a, like a psychological thriller, kinda, you know what I'm saying? And it creeped me out. It creeped me out so bad. There was a span of years, you know, from being a kid to like being a young adult, like in my 20s, where I never watched it. I never even revisited it, because it was just so creepy to me.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. It's like, you know, it was a difference. There's a difference. Like, you know, like like you know, already know this, but like I got spooked watching Phantasm. I saw
Hmm.
Phantasm on commercial TV on late night on CBS, but
Hmm.
that movie scared me.
Mm.
You know, it scared me. I was like, you know, the last scene, you know, boy, and I was like,
Yes.
thanks for putting that in your intro every night, every time I come in there too. Yeah,
I
I'm so happy to hear that, boy. I'm like, oh shit, it's, you know, no, I'm already have insomnia. Night's already
yeah.
making it worse now, because every time I'm hearing Angus scream in my ear, going like, boy, and I'm going like, you know,
Well, that
but
was my way. That was just a small way to like almost pay respect to
perfect.
him, you
Yeah.
know, because like with especially our main intro, that's really just a compilation of either favorite movies or favorite scenes or favorite actors or whatever.
I love
And
it.
Yeah, it's a fun thing, and when we finished our Phantasm series, I realized, I mean, I love the series, and Killian had never really seen anything but the first one, and revisiting it, and you know how it is, we're reviewing them every week, so I'm rewatching them every week, so they're all so fresh, and I realized that's like, man, I gotta pay more respect to the Tall Man because not many people talk about the Tall Man as
Oh,
much
not
as other
anymore.
icons, you
Yeah,
know.
not anymore. I mean, he used to
So
be, he used to be a regular. You know, you used to see him quite a bit on channel. You know,
true.
I've only been on I've only been on a tube as far as my channel goes. I've only been on since July 2020. But
Mm,
but when I first came on, I saw a lot of people talking about Phantasm in the beginning. But you
mm-hmm.
know, it's gone on. I don't see very many people talking about Hellraiser anymore. I don't see
Right.
people talking about, you know, Phantasm, or
Mhm.
you know, or even aliens. You know, it's just those some of those. You know, it's, you know, I don't know if it's a generational thing, is it's just cyclical, or you know, or what.
Yeah.
But you know, now newer or more established have taken root, and you hear about them more often than not.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but I Spit on Your Grave, I just found like that was just like, it wasn't scary to me.
Mhm.
The movie wasn't scary. It was just, it was disturbing and disgusting to me. It's like, you know, I don't want to
Same
see that.
here.
I don't
Yeah,
want to
me
sit
too.
there and watch it, especially, you know, like, especially watching it for 30 freaking minutes, you know.
Yeah.
Like, all right, you know, that's not horror. You want to be entertained.
Mhm.
You want to jump in your seat. You know, you want to,
Right.
you know, have your friends spooked and whatnot. But you don't want to
Mhm.
sit there and watch that, and it
Yep.
takes all the joy out of it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
I agree.
Okay. So, like the first movie that, you know, do you remember your reaction when you first saw The Exorcist?
Oh man, The Exorcist, it messed me up, man. It really, really did. I mean, and you know how this is, Patrick, when we talk about, what's your favorite, or what, rank your top this or your top that. I mean, my list, changes, from time to time, but there are a couple of movies that are always, in that conversation for, the top spots and so forth. And The Exorcist is one of those movies, not only as a favorite horror movie, but also it genuinely is still creepy to me, even to this day. It's still, I can still feel chills at times. You know what I'm saying? And it's such a well made movie. It really is. I still adore it. I really, really do.
Oh, me too. I look at I look at the table setters for our generation of horror.
Mm,
You know, Night of the Living Dead, and then I would say The Exorcist
hmm. Yeah.
and Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Right.
You know, those are like the, you know, those are the big table setters. Everything
Yeah.
else came from behind that. I
Hmm.
know a lot of people might mention Rosemary's Baby, but you know, Rosemary's Baby, I don't know. It never did that for me. It never did. Um,
Oh. Hmm.
not to say Polanski didn't get me, because
Right.
Polanski did.
Hmm.
He got me with The Ninth Gate. Which,
Yes. That was a good one.
that's a really good one. That's a really good.
Creepy.
Uh,
Creepy.
very creepy, but
Yeah.
very effective. One of Johnny Depp's best roles,
I
and
agree.
nobody really talks about it. I think it's a
Right.
great movie.
I think
Um,
so too.
now, do you remember the first movie that you and Killian or you bought? Did you guys go in together, like save your allowances? Did you? What was the first movie that you bought?
Oh wow, man. That's wow. I don't even I could only take a guess, because when I was really, rolling with that, well, first of all, at this point, when we were kids, it's not like we had money anyways, but probably like maybe when I got to be, a preteen or something like that, I'm pretty sure it was a Nightmare on Elm Street movie because that was right at that moment where I was getting deeper into horror and Freddy was just everywhere. Freddy mania was running wild, you
Yeah.
know. So I would take a stab, I would take a guess it probably was Dream Warriors, something like that because when I was a kid, when I was a preteen especially, I just absolutely wore that movie out. I saw that movie so many times it wasn't even funny.
Corianis came in. She says, "Did she hear? Did she hear Johnny Depp?" And I said, "No, we're talking about Jerry Depp, his younger brother."
Jerry Depp.
Uh, yeah, I mean, I just remember, I remember buying my first videotape. Because it was like in my very first tape that I ever got was Starship Troopers.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah,
Nice.
that was the first one.
Nice.
Uh, because I didn't get into collecting till late in the game. Um,
Right.
but that was the first movie I ever bought for myself was
Mm.
Starship Troopers. I remember, and I had to save all summer for it. I had worked all summer for it because it was like
Wow.
40 or 50 bucks back then. It was so
Wow.
expensive.
Mm.
Um, so now you got you got in the horror, and
Mhm.
how old were you when you got into collecting? I mean, like
Um, I don't know. I would probably say, and of course, it's the teen, or the kid version of collecting. But I would probably say somewhere around 13 or 14. I got to the point where, I had a whole bunch of VHS tapes. I had the Friday the 13th movies up to the point wherever it was when I started collecting them. I think I was 13 or 14. I had the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. I had the Dead movies. And of course we're talking about horror, but this doesn't even account for like my martial arts and action movies because I was really big in that's the thing. It was kind of interesting because I was as big into that stuff, maybe almost as big, but especially martial arts because I was studying martial arts too. So I was really big into Bruce Lee and obviously when Van Damme became big and Chuck Norris and Seagal and all that too. So I was I was all over the place.
um, I mean, besides, yeah, how were you there? I mean, and besides Bruce Lee, because I know that's got to be your favorite. But
Oh
who
yeah.
are some of the other martial artists that you really liked growing up?
I always loved Chuck Norris. I mean, my dad was a huge Chuck Norris fan, so was my mom. So of course, you watch what your parents watch, even if you don't realize that, you know what I'm saying? So I loved Chuck Norris. And, to be quite honest, once I started getting into martial arts, there was like a drought because Chuck started to kind of do his own thing, in the late 80s. He started to kind of be more um I guess charitable is the way, kind of different business ventures and all that. He was not, doing a lot of action movies at that point. But that's when Van Damme blew up. So
Mm.
Van Damme became huge as far as, my a person I could look to see on screen what I wanted to be able to do. So I was really big into Van Damme movies. And then, obviously Seagal came out and Jeff Speakman and, and obviously, well, when Brandon Lee got
Yeah.
killed, that was a horrible day. I still remember that day, coming home from school and hearing about it. And that was a dark day. So,
That was tremendously sad. You mentioned one of the artists in there, and like I was really like I always wonder what happened to him. Like why didn't he go? Because he was really fun to watch, and that was Jeff Speakman.
yeah, yeah, he was one of those guys that kind of, I'll say this, and there's actually quite a few people, like Jeff Speakman, Billy Blanks, and quite a
Okay,
few others.
can I mention this? Because I think we talked about. I mentioned this before with Billy Blanks.
Mm.
Of all the martial arts guys, all the heroes out there, why is it that Billy Blanks always got his ass kicked? I mean, he took as many punches as he got hit. He got hit for every time he got hit, or he hit somebody, he was getting hit back. I've
Yeah,
never seen that before. He was getting. I mean, he was like most of the time he watched, Bruce Lee, and yeah, someone might lay one hand on him in a fight,
right,
but that's
right,
about it, right? But
right.
Billy Blanks, man, it was more like Billy tagged because he
Yes,
was getting
yes.
tagged all the time.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Mm.
I mean, it just well, one thing I do know, and especially people like Seagal and obviously Bruce and even Chuck, Van Damme, in a lot of those movies, they call the shots as far as how the fights work, as far as, how many times they're going to get hit or how bad they look as as their opponent is fighting them. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
I don't know. Maybe Billy didn't have enough pull to
You must
not get
not.
hit as much.
I mean, I watched a lot of. I like watching martial arts films too. I mean,
Oh yeah.
I gave my buddy Catfish. I gave him so much guff, saying since John Saxon killed Bolo in Enter the Dragon, that John
Yes.
Saxon is like the American badass. He's the best American martial artist. It drive him nuts. It drive him nuts. He says, "What do you mean he's the best? What about Jim Kelly?" He says, "Yeah, but Jim Kelly died."
Right.
And
Yeah.
John Saxon killed Bolo, and he just drive him bonkers.
Right.
Yeah, I like Chuck. I like some of those martial art movies. But
Mhm.
I felt like a lot of those actors. I mean, did you feel the same way when you watched them? Did you feel like sometimes they were wooden?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, all of those actors in one way or another, it was about their physicality. It was about their skill or the art. Not many of them. Some of them got a little bit better. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying?
I thought Van
But
Damme was a good actor.
I'm gonna tell you what, and of course we've talked about this, you know, together, but um as far as doing martial arts stuff, I'm just waiting to pull the trigger to get back into some more martial arts material. And
Yeah,
I've got a whole Van Damme thing I'm going to be getting into because, like I said, he was really a huge influence for me, a huge inspiration martial arts wise, and as a movie fan. But he really has gotten a lot better over the years, especially within the last decade or so. He's done some stuff that no one back in the 80s would have ever given him credit to be able to do, and that's a huge accomplishment for someone that was not an actor. He was a martial artist. He was not an actor. He wasn't naturally trained as an actor, but over the years he's learned, he's studied or whatever. And but he's also one of those few people, like we talked about Jeff Speakman. The difference between Speakman and Van Damme isn't their skill, because Speakman was very skilled, right?
very
But
much.
Van Damme just had an it factor. He had a natural charisma. When he was in front of the camera, it worked, And some actors, in any genre, or actresses, that's the difference between being, very successful versus being, B or C level. And Van Damme had that and still
Yeah,
has that.
I
Yeah.
just could never understand what happened because the Perfect Weapon came out and I saw that at the theater
Yes.
and I was blown away. I
Yes.
mean, he went up against, he went up, it seemed like they always put Professor Tanaka as the main bad guy.
Yes.
'Cause
Yes.
Brenda Lee had to face him, and Jeff Speakman had to face him, and it's just like,
Arnold had to face him.
yeah, yeah, you always face the professor at the end of the movie. And it
Right.
was just like, okay, it's like almost like a formula. It's like, we've got a new martial artist. Okay, who are we gonna have him fight in the final fight? Well, let's get the professor. He'll do it.
Yeah,
Um,
he'll do it.
and and it made it for a good. It made for a good. American martial arts is definitely different from Hong Kong.
Oh
I
yeah.
mean, you
Oh yeah.
watching, I'm glad you're going to bring back the martial arts because I really
Mhm.
enjoyed watching that on your channel. I
Yeah.
enjoyed it because we had a lot of fun in the chat. Some of
Yeah.
the chats were I was in tears laughing some of the stuff that was coming out, but it was
Yeah.
still fun watching the movie,
Yeah.
and but yeah, that was but as far as martial arts go, the only movie I just can't watch it again. For the life of God, I cannot stand to watch it. And that's Bloodsport because they played it like and endlessly.
They
Uh,
did, man.
oh
I will agree with that. Although I'm not gonna lie, that's one of my favorite Van Damme movies ever. And I was just at the, I was at the see, the other thing too is that it's also about your age and what your taste is, because Bloodsport came out at a time, like I said, for me as a martial arts fan, there was a hole, because obviously Bruce had been long gone. Chuck was kind of, not doing much, and nobody was really stepping up. And Van Damme stepped up in
yeah,
that movie, and it was very much almost like that vibe of a video game. You know, he's facing all these different fighters with different styles and all this type of stuff. And I watched that movie with my little brother and my cousins, so that also kind of created the magic of it. And so I think it was just a perfect time for me because of all those different factors, you know. But they did play it a hell of a lot. I agree with you. On TV, they really did.
You know, like you probably don't know this, but during the, you know, I used to watch all those in the 80s, you know, the 80s and in the 90s, all the martial arts, Richard Norton, Cynthia
Yes.
Rothrock,
Oh yeah.
Michelle Yeoh, Louis Avedon, Lauren Avedon. I mean, I used to watch all those cats get at it. There's an
Oh
Indian
yeah.
guy named Mahir. I can't remember his first name, but he
Hmm.
played in a lot of Cynthia Rothrock movies. Cynthia Rothrock is just like the queen.
Oh,
I
she
absolutely.
is.
Um, you had
She
a
really
big
is,
guy.
man.
You had a big guy. They used to throw him out there as a villain all the time, but then they made him into a hero once. That was amazing because he was really good at it. Matthias Hughes.
Yes.
Oh my God!
Yes.
Every time he saw Matthias Hughes, man, he was just big and he was
Yep.
fat. He
Yeah,
was big
man.
and he was so much. I mean, he was fun to watch. But he always
Those
he was
guys, they were amazing. They were amazing, man. I mean, to do that stuff, you know, first of all, as a martial artist, to do what they do in the movies, it takes a lot of ability, right? But not only do you have to know it as a martial artist, but then you got to transform it to what will work on camera. You know what I'm saying? And
right.
some people can do it well. And as we know, like we were talking about Billy Blanks, not saying that he can't, but there are a lot of people that just go up to that higher level, like a Cynthia Rothrock or Richard Norton, obviously Bruce Lee or Jackie Chan. And there's so many others that might be just as skilled or very skilled that just don't translate well on camera. You know, it's really hard to do on camera.
Yeah, I mean, you felt so bad for a lot of these artists. You know, it's just like
Mhm.
horror films, horror actors.
Yep.
You know, these subgenres you know, they get they're good and they're you know they're stars. Like
Yes.
Cynthia Rothrock is a good action star. You
Hmm.
know, just like some of the horror films. You know, they're good horror actors. Like
Hmm.
someone like a Danielle Harris. You know that
Yes.
but they never get a chance you know, to elevate. Like to
Right.
me, I could never understand why aren't we watching Cynthia Rothrock in a movie? And
I know.
I'm not talking just like a martial arts movie, but it just
Hmm.
has, you know, you throw elements into it.
Hmm.
But she's not a bad actress. She's very cute.
No.
You know, she's a lot of fun to look at. I mean, you know, she's funny. She's got a good sense
Hmm.
of humor.
Yeah.
You know, maybe she's not that, you know, maybe she's not that 5'9",
Right.
blonde beauty you expect to be, but you know, but she could easily fit a role, you know, and some of
Hmm.
these actors too, as martial artists, you know, like Chuck Norris. Look at Chuck Norris. He got elevated to Walker.
Yep.
Now
Yep.
he's not that good of an actor, but look what happened.
Right.
They
Yep.
surrounded him and they made him to a decent actor.
That's right.
He got a chance.
Yep.
Um, what do you feel when you know when you watch an actor? I mean, has there ever been anybody that you watch, you know, like it's like you're watching it and you're the one who's discovered it? Like, oh my God, you know, this is a like Killing It with Lamb. Oh my God, I can't believe this movie. Sorry. Okay, but you know what I'm talking about, right? You know, like you know, the first time you watch it, you going like, "Holy shit, this is badass!" I gotta call my cousin, I gotta call my friends. You know, check this. You gotta check this shit out. You know,
For a movie, yeah, there's been many times that has happened. I mean, gosh, man, I mean, I could name so many. Well, I'll talk in more recent years. Like I saw this movie, and we've been waiting to do this on the channel, so I'm just putting that out there in case anyone says, you know, if anyone else does it first. Like I'm planning to do this at some point. There's this movie called Predestination with
Mhm.
Ethan Hawke, and it was one of those movies I had seen a little bit of the trailer, right? I'm a big Ethan Hawke fan, anyways, and it's a sci-fi
Yeah.
and mystery and all that. And I stopped the trailer, although later on I found out that the trailer actually didn't give away anything, which was even better because trailers nowadays do that too much. But
Yeah.
anyways, I saw the movie.
Yeah.
I called my brother up as soon as it finished, and I told him, I said, you have to watch this movie. And I kept saying it to him. And we believe each other because we have very similar taste. You know what I'm saying? So if he says he loves a movie, I'm pretty sure I'm going to at least like it, if not love it. And I told him, and it just so happened to be a day where he was off of work. Please get it. Please get it. Please get it. Please get it. I kept saying it over and over again. And he said, okay, I'll do it. I said, call me when you're done. I kid you not, Patrick. He called me 2 hours later and he was like, oh my God. He's like, that was awesome. And we literally, it could have been an episode on the channel. We literally talked about the movie for about an hour and we were just geeking out. And that was such a cool experience because it was a movie that just blew me away, and I was able to share it with him and it blew him away, you know. And we've actually been waiting to talk about that movie, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do it soon. But it's a great movie.
Well, I'm really happy. You know, that's one thing I have to sit there and I have to comment about your channel. One of the things I really like your channel is I really like the fact that you guys will go out there and make an effort to, you know, to invite other people on your channel. You know, maybe people who are don't, you know, maybe their channel's small, maybe they're not used to going on a panel or being invited to be on a panel. There's a difference between being on a panel and being asked. You know, a lot of times people never get asked. You go there, man, I like to see that guy on a panel. But the thing that it is, a lot of people don't get asked to do panels. And, you know, maybe a couple of, you know, maybe they can come on a friend's channel for a day or so. But as far as getting exposed to fresh eyes, that's a tough thing. And that's one thing that you specialize at, you and Coriander and Killian, is at you'll bring fresh eyes to your show, to your content. And you know, I've been on your show a couple of times and be on it again with Saint Maud.
There you go.
You can't believe I'm doing that. I cannot believe I'm never gonna live this down. You know this, right? You know I'm never gonna live this down.
Right.
So
yeah,
but
I mean, I love doing that. I love having people on.
Now, was that something that you guys used to do with a bunch of your friends? I mean, did you ever watch parties and have like just ton of people come on over and watch a movie at your house?
When we were kids, you know, other than just really our cousins, you know, we kind of watched movies with our cousins. You know, my aunt, obviously my parents, you know, when we got older and right before we launched the channel, it was, you know, right. The pandemic had just basically it started. And because we were in lockdown a lot, we had a lot of extra time. You know, I was fortunate enough to still be working regularly, but I had a lot of free time on the other side of things, you know? And so me and my brother and my two cousins, we talked a lot more, which was really cool. I mean, I always talked to my brother, but my two cousins, we kind of had you know, a group of four, and we did start to do watch parties where we would be on just like this, and we would pick a movie, you know, like we watched, you know, things like Predator and Friday the 13th and Night of the Living Dead. And we would say, okay, we're going to watch it. And we're going to start it. We do a countdown and watch it and comment on it and stuff like that. So we did do a lot of that. And when I started the channel, because again, I had extra time. And my brother said, well, if you start it, if you really want to do it, then you should do it. And he says, I'll pop on. And I said, okay. And my whole idea for it was to basically kind of what we're doing right now, just talking about movies and, you know, reviewing them or whatever you want to call it, discussion. But I always felt like I wanted it to be a type of thing where other people would be able to join us, you know, that we'd be able to connect, you know, with other people and have them on basically like a show, you know. So that was always kind of the idea. Now I'm going to be honest with you, in the beginning, I had no idea whether we'd be able to do that because, you know, we didn't know anyone. I didn't know it, you know, really it was me in the very beginning, but I didn't know anyone and no one knew us. So, but, you know, as you know, we got to the point where people started to kind of know, you know, what we were about, and were very gracious to join us, you included, you know, and we've had a lot of great episodes with guests, Tons
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
Tons of them. Matter
In
of fact,
fact,
that's one of the things I was most sad about with losing the other channel is we had a lot of great episodes with a lot of guests. We had a whole series on the Alien movies with Marty from the Trash Picture Show. We lost all of that, and
oh,
that was one of my favorite series that we, even to this day, one of my favorite series that we had done, because we went through all six movies, and we did a ranking, we did a finale episode, and we lost all of that. But we had, we had episodes with King Needgore, we had episodes with Trenchy, we had episodes with a couple other people too, and we lost all of that. It was that was one of the saddest things, because
yeah.
you can redo an episode, but you can't always recreate the magic of the
Mhm.
conversation.
Right.
That's the
Yeah.
key.
Right.
So
Um, yeah. I mean, I agree. I totally agree. I mean, all that is gone. I mean, but you do
yeah.
a lot of series. That's one thing. I mean, like, holy shit, you're in so much in demand. It's incredible. What's been your three favorite series that you've done on your channel? The three you're most proud of?
Movie series, the Alien series was phenomenal. I mean, and granted, I'm a huge fan of the franchise, so of course that plays into it. But that was really, when we did that, I even said it to Kill and Coriander. I said, this is something that is, taking us to a different place, because you know it was just such great conversation, and we had such great feedback from the live chat and so forth. But I really enjoyed that one. I really enjoyed our Halloween series that we just did. And the difference was, we knew what we were doing at this point, you know what I mean? Because we just finished
Right.
that, just whatever, a month and a half, 2 months ago. But I was very happy with that. I was really happy with our scariest movie moments, which, gosh, man, that was that was a task and a half, but we
Yeah.
got it together.
Corey Yenner is mentioning our top Disney films with Natalie was her favorite that you guys lost.
Yes, that was a great one too, and it was so cool because Natalie has a great channel, and she was kind of a friend outside of YouTube, and she loves Disney, and she liked the channel, although she wasn't a horror fan. So I said to her one day, I said, "Well, let's do a Disney episode, because I love Disney movies." And she said, "Yeah, I'll join on." And I could not believe it, Patrick. I mean, I can believe it, but you never know until you do it. But we had so many of our regular viewers and regular horror fans
Yes.
talking about Disney animated classics, and it was so cool. And everyone was saying, "Wow, man, this is." They were saying that this is kind of what your channel is about, just kind of pushing, the boundaries. And so I was really, Coriander's right. That definitely was a very great episode.
Hey,
It
Larry.
really
Hey,
was.
welcome on in. Um,
Hey,
uh,
Larry.
yeah, Larry D's here. Larry's he split his channel into two. He does one half he does aquatics, fish, and then he split his channel. Now he's doing Larry's Heat and Horror, where he does hot sauce testing and he and he reviews horror films.
Oh
He's
man, hot
also
sauce
going to be popping
testing.
up. Yeah, he's going to pop up on the 21st for my first roundtable. I'm doing a roundtable
Nice.
of kaiju films. Yeah, I I
Nice.
I love roundtables. I think they're a lot of fun.
They are.
Um, yeah, yeah, you're insanely busy. How do you keep it all? How do you like? I mean, plus all the work you put in to creating, because the content that you put out is like it's so strong. I mean, you have the awesome intros. You show clips. I mean, you mean your channel's like the prototypical YouTube channel as far as a movie channel goes.
Oh,
I don't see anybody else doing that, or know how to do it. How long does it usually take for you to edit let's just say, I don't know, like, like
an
Mad,
episode.
Yeah, like Mad Men. So walk us through Mad Men. Like, what do you do? You know, where do you get your movie at? How do you prepare it?
Well, you know, for a lot of the movies, it's funny you asked that because we just released a video today talking about what inspires us to pick the movies we pick, and a lot of it is, you know, what we like or what we think is interesting or what, you know, we think would make a good episode. And so we usually either talk about it or, you know, we'll text about it. And whether it's, you know, Kill or Coriander or me, um, we just have a list of things. Like we literally have movies and, you know, an idea of episodes that'll probably last us at least halfway into next year. So, you know, that's kind of how we pick the movie. And then once we have the movie, for me, I'll try to, you know, get things that are interesting about the movie, you know, the images or maybe, you know, a clip or two or whatever. And what I used to do a lot more, I don't do it as much, but I used to sometimes integrate the movie or clips of the movie or some of the trailer of the movie into our intro or into some type of opening. Um, because that just interests me.
I like that
eh,
too. I
Yeah,
really like that. Yeah, I've
you
seen it.
know,
Seen you do that.
yeah. So, you
The
know,
movie you talk about that night, you put
yeah.
in more clips of it inside the intro.
Yeah, so that I just love doing that. I love editing and doing that type of stuff and the tributes and stuff like that. So, you know, I'll gather up all that stuff and upload it, you know, to StreamYard. And the hardest part about it, you know, pretty much like what you're doing right now. You're live, right? And
Right.
you're talking about something. When we do it, there's no script. Like I'm
Oh,
not, you know, I'm not reading a cue card. You know, I'll have, you know, I'll take notes, you know, and I'll have maybe an outline of stuff that I want to make sure I don't forget to say because I have so much that usually go on in my mind. But the hardest part is just trying to make it a cohesive thing. And that doesn't even count integrating the live chat and comments from the live chat and wherever that may take you. So that's what makes it difficult. But for every episode, I literally could work on every episode for at least a few hours, at least upwards
um,
of 3 or 4 hours per episode.
yeah, Coriander saying, she's saying, "Oh my God, Knight is working on his channel and episode all the time. It's the second job, literally."
It's kinda, but I love doing it. You know, that's the thing. It's a
Sure.
passion too.
Sure.
You know.
Yeah. No, it's all about passion. I mean, you know, to do a show or do a series. Uh,
Yeah.
Now you started your brand new series, the collaboration, yet
Mhm.
another collaboration. And I mean, I was just wondering, like, where do you, like, what do you do for free time? I mean, because let's take a look at this. You do your regulars, you do your Monday night slasher.
Yep.
Now, these are not just, these aren't just like, okay, I'll go on there, I do the show for 30 minutes and then we're off.
Right.
You have to, you're prepping the show, you're editing it to the show. That
Mhm.
takes hours. So you
Yeah.
got Slasher Movie Club, which is my favorite. This is my favorite series right now on the tube.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I love that series so
I
much.
do too. I do too.
I'm just like, not. I keep on saying, night, pick a really shitty movie because I want to be entertained. The shittier the better, man.
Right.
Because it's really funny because it's like I'm sitting there watching you try to get at least 30 minutes. You're trying to make it out to 30 minutes, and I'm sitting there I'm waiting there just watching Coriander, just like, oh fuck this shit.
I know. I
It
know.
makes me laugh. It
It
makes
does.
me laugh so hard. It's
It
like
does.
the worse the movie is, the better. I mean, it's great when it's good, like you guys covered
Right.
pieces, but it's
Yes.
so much better when it's a shitty ass movie.
Right. We had fun on Don't Go in the Woods Alone, man, because we were just
Yeah,
like, man.
I think you had fun. I think Coriander wanted to kill you.
I know. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Don't he goes, yep. He makes everything he does look so easy, and he's so talented. Yep.
No,
Now
stop.
let's say she keeps saying that on Monday night.
That's true.
When you pull out a turkey. Uh,
Yeah. But
so
yeah,
how is he?
we have Slasher Club, we have
Slasher Club?
Monster Fridays on Friday
Monster
nights.
Friday.
We did cut back on our Wednesdays, you know, and there's been a few people that actually noticed that, but we stopped on our Wednesdays, partly because of Killian's schedule, and partly because the Halloween series and also the scariest movie moments literally almost killed me. And so I said, I'm going to pull back a little bit. So that was my way of pulling back. But we
Um,
do also have our Sunday show too.
right. Yeah. You have their Sunday show. You have two Sunday shows. You do double header work on
Sometimes,
Sunday.
yes. And plus,
Yep.
we do the IFC Midnight Nights.
And now you got
Um,
the brand new one, the Lethal Connection Collective.
Collective. Yep.
Um, oh my gosh, man! All three of those guys seem jacked,
Yeah.
completely jacked to be
Yes.
up there with you. I mean,
Yeah.
they
And
were
me with them.
they were so excited to actually sit up there and like, I can't believe we're up here with Knight, you know, and you could sense it in their voices, you know, how excited they were. How do you keep everything in order and keep your interests high without getting burned out?
Well, I think, well, number one, like I said, it's fun and it is a passion. I mean, movies is, like I said, it's a lifelong passion. But the schedule, and I was either very lucky or very smart or maybe a little bit of both. But right from the beginning on the old channel, I thought to myself, if people are gonna eventually watch what we do, if I can be regular, if I can have like a, you know, a regular time slot,
Mhm.
maybe they'll remember, you know, maybe they say, oh yeah, this guy's doing something on such and such a night. So we started with that whole idea of having a schedule, you know, the same day every week. Part of that was to be successful, and also part of it was to accommodate all three of our schedules because we all three of us have different schedules. So that's probably the biggest thing, is making sure that what I do is, well, you know that, because
Uh,
when we get together, I'm always like, okay, what time, what day,
yeah.
how long, you know. So the scheduling is probably the biggest thing. And as far as not getting burnt out, I just, you know, I do what I can do, you know. And fortunately, I've been able to do all the things I want to do. And like I said, we have pulled back a little because we pulled back on Wednesdays. Um, so it's worked out pretty good. I've been fortunate. You know, there's not many times that I've wanted to do a project or a collaboration, or if someone's asked me to do something that I haven't been able to do, you
How often do you get asked to do something
know. I mean,
on a weekly basis? Because
not
I know you get asked all the time.
well,
It's
I
not.
mean, yeah, I mean, I've been asked, you know, well, especially in the last couple months, there's been a lot. But you know, it's not every week, you know, because I think most other creators, just like yourself, you know, you're really good with scheduling and planning. I mean, we knew we were going to do this for a long time,
Yeah.
so you're the same way. So I think a lot of other people, if they're successful in any sort of way, they do the same thing. So I'm not doing anything that's special by any means. But you know, the last couple months I've done quite a bit. So I would say, you know, a couple times a month. Yeah, it kind of averages out to a couple times a month. I mean, Halloween was crazy for all of us. We all did crazy stuff and collaborated with each other. So that kind of is a more, you know, above the norm. But you know, maybe a couple times a month.
Um, yeah. I mean, I noticed that, you know, you one of the things too, like what I really like about our show is that, you know, a lot of times you see people get up there and they'll do like a, you know, 5 or 10 minute review of a movie.
Hmm.
That's all you get.
Hmm.
You really see a lot of channels or a lot of you know, or maybe I'm just not seeing them myself. If people can tell me differently in the chat, I'm down with that.
Hmm.
But one of the most amazing things that's happened to me, as far as I'm concerned, is with our show on Sundays, how every time we put on a new movie, our discussions, because I thought they would be like a 40 minute discussion. You know,
Mm.
how we get out there, we talk about it for 45 minutes, 45, we be done with it.
Yeah,
And it's like every movie that we've got has seemed to have gotten stronger, and we're just, and there's so much to talk about, and it's just
there
like
is.
there's so much passion behind it.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, I mean, now there's a difference between watching a movie,
Hmm.
like we all watch movies growing up. There's a difference between watching a movie and then being passionate about it.
True.
And what fuels your passion? I mean, what makes a movie just like really grab you? I mean, like, I mean, I asked you this before, like, have you ever seen a movie where you just call your brother up? But
Yeah.
I mean, a movie. I'm talking about like a movie. It's just like for you and I, our first collaboration, and it sucked because we were planning that before, right before the first channel got taken down, and that was
Yes.
for a dark song.
Yep.
That was gonna be our first collaboration.
It was.
Um,
Yep.
but what makes it? What do you look for when you are watching a movie for the first time or the second time, and you just want to get up there and just share it? I mean, you want to talk about it. I mean, deep. Like I don't want. I mean, not only watch it, but you want to talk about it deep.
It has to. It has to. It has to evoke an emotion. You know what I'm saying? Like it has to, like, challenge me, or it has to do something that surprises me, or it has to be, the craft of it has to be just really special. It might be the type of thing that connects with me on a sad level, as far as, that type of emotion. um and there is a handful of those types of movies that are just so special that it's like, man, I have got to talk about this movie. I just want other people to see it. I want people to know about it. I want this movie to be, um revered, and whatever I can do to help that process, I'd love to do. um but those are the types of things, something that really moves me, or it sticks with me well after I've watched it, like, and this isn't saying this is my favorite, although it is a very, very big favorite of mine. But when I saw Seven, I
Mm,
saw that in the theater, and I kind of went into it knowing that it was, a thriller, and maybe some horror elements. So I was very intrigued, and I saw it in the theater at night, and I went home, and I couldn't go to sleep for
no,
hours.
either. Me
I,
either. That
I
movie's
mean,
a
I sat
awesome.
I sat in the bed with my eyes open, and the movie just kept playing in my head, all the different things, because as we know, the ending is just
So fun.
bonkers, right?
Yeah. So
And,
so
and I remember the next day I was talking to friends, and I saw this, obviously, when I was a young adult, and I was just telling people, you got to see this movie. This movie is, I haven't seen anything like that, and especially with that type of ending, that bleak type of ending. And so, if a movie makes me feel like that, which others have too, those are the types of movies that either I say I gotta tell people, or obviously now with this type of platform, I'm like, this is a movie that I know I've got to do an episode on. And we've had a couple of those episodes, and we've got it. Sometimes it's unbelievable to think about it, but we've got a whole bunch that are just on a wait list. We're just waiting to do,
do you find yourself like this is my own personal opinion, but one of the things I just it just I don't know if it's me or what, but I just have a hard time getting into discussions when people talk about franchises, like the Halloween franchise or Friday the 13th or whatnot, because
Hmm.
they've been done to freaking Jurassic Park dinosaur dust.
Yep, that's true.
If I seen one, I've seen 1,000, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
that's it's one of the reasons why, like even though I it's poking fun at it a little bit, but when you guys do a lamb, or we talk about our IFC movies,
Hmm.
nobody is talking about those movies.
Right.
Nobody. And
Yeah.
me, I'm all in when I see something fresh.
Yeah.
I mentally check out, like, okay, we're gonna talk about aliens.
Hmm.
I'm just like, no, can we not and say we did? Because
Yeah.
because everybody, especially October, everybody's
Hmm.
doing Halloween. We're gonna take a fresh look at
Yep.
Halloween. Like, excuse me, but there's nothing fresh about it. It's been
Right.
done.
Right.
It's been talked
Well,
to death.
well, what's funny is that, it's funny you say that, because I had this specific conversation with my brother, because one thing that we started to think about early and in the old channel is, okay, we know what movies we like, we know what movies we can talk about, but how do we pick, to do this or to do that or whatever? And we thought about those types of things because you would see that, with movie channels that they would review, a lot of the staples, so to speak. And this sounds really, it almost sounds backwards, but I remember talking to him and saying, well, people do talk about, like you said, Halloween or Friday the 13th, they talk about them to death. I said, but the way I want to do the channel, and whether that was, well, I think obviously looking at it now, it was a good idea. But I said, the way I want to do it on the channel, because at first we weren't going to be a live stream channel. That wasn't the plan at first. We actually, or I kind of fell into that and kind of I dragged,
I
Kill and Coriander along with it.
I had no idea I'd be doing this either. Hobbs the one that's dragged me into it.
Yeah, but I love it. And I said to Kill, I said, you know what? If we're going to be talking about movies that have been well worn, I said, but we're going to do it our way, which at the time it, I didn't see a lot of, well, I didn't see many of, if not any, that did it the way that we were doing it. And I said, if we can get a couple people to watch it and be in the live chat, we can talk about a movie, have a discussion, review it, but also get comments and viewpoints from the chat and integrate all of that together. So it's really like it's like a panel, you know what I'm saying? Discussion on something. And I said, if we do it like that, it'll be different enough, at least for me, because I'll watch our episodes. And my big thing with it is always trying to do things in a way that hopefully is a little bit of a different angle. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we all talk about similar movies. So that was always the idea, is to try to put our little spin on it and incorporate, people in our live chat to be a part of the discussion, in which obviously, because you're with us quite a bit, whether
Yeah,
it be in the live chat or not. So that was kind of the way we felt, and especially myself as the owner of the channel. That's the way I felt confident enough to say, okay, well, everyone's talked about Friday the 13th, but I haven't yet. And so I'm going to do it and hopefully have a little bit of an interesting take on it. And I mean, and there are other channels that have interesting takes on it too. And I'm not trying to say that, but I'm just saying for us, that's what kind of cleared my conscience a little bit about doing it, because I've seen tons of channels do it too,
yeah. It's just like, when you see someone, you'll scroll down there and you'll see someone pop up with a thumbnail or a picture going like,
Yep.
"Tonight we're tackling Friday the 13th," and it's like, uh, you know that already been tackled. That been tackled
Right.
like, at the 5 yard line, the 10 yard line, the 15 yard line. It's been tackled. There's nothing left. The only,
Right.
so I mean, I just don't. Tonight we're gonna write the kills. They gotta did that too. They've already done
Yes.
that. It's like,
Yes.
so how important is it to, when you watch a good horror film? What's the most important thing that you look for in a horror film that makes you interested in it, that will make you want to talk about it?
Well, it's got to be good. But if we're talking specific beyond good, I think it's got to have, it's got to show me that it's trying to do something fresh or unique or crafty. You know what I'm saying? Like at this point, especially when we talk about horror, there's so much classic stuff, there's so much foundation, so directors and screenwriters and so forth, like their obstacle is to try to do something that twists things a little bit. So nowadays when I watch a horror movie, that's one of my main things. Like if I watch it and I say, wow, they did a pretty good job on that, I didn't expect that, or I couldn't figure out the whole movie, or the ending shocked me, or whatever, those types of things. I think that's the thing that initially will kind of draw me in, as far as being a fan of it, and then saying, well, if we talk about that, that's a great episode to do because it did have something, different, or it did something special.
Yeah, did not know this until you guys did Lamb. I did not know that Killian was such a, I did not know he was one of A24 fan. Not to that
Mm,
level. I'm not on the same level like I am with IFC. Um,
right.
I thought that was actually a very, very surprise. I was surprised because I'd never seen that part of that. Never seen it before. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I actually was pretty excited because I've only known one. I mean, but A24 fanatic. I've only known one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like, we see him talk about it and get excited about it. I'm like, that's really cool. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I have fun with it. I poke fun at it, but I was really excited to see that because now we
Yeah.
can talk about it because
Yeah.
because a lot of people actually they really don't. They'll talk a couple of movies, a couple of flashy movies,
Yeah.
everybody's talking about, but
Mm-hmm.
no one really goes back inside of a catalog, a library. Like, okay, A24 has released about 100 films,
Yeah.
but only about 10 of them ever get talked about. And
Right.
I mean, to me, I love the fact to discover something that nobody else has seen.
Yeah.
That's why I loved about A Dark Song. It's like, like people here. I mean, they would tell you that I mean, I've been talking about that movie since I wrote about it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so it was really cool to see somebody else know something about it, have watched it. Werewolf, and then you,
Mm-hmm.
and then that was really cool because it's
Yeah.
something fresh, different.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and no one else is bringing it up. No one else is talking about it. It's like,
Yeah.
all right, we could go someplace with this.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
um, now there is one question I'm going to do this delicately because I do want to know this. How did Coriander get involved with the Nightwatch Zone? Now was she, because
Well,
I mean, because I know you and Killian were the first two members, right?
yeah. I mean, he basically he would love to tell you, I just I just guest spot on the panel. You know what I mean?
Oh,
He's very humble like that. And I'll say, well, even though he kind of said, well, if you want to start a YouTube channel, you should start it and I'll join in when I can. And of course, fortunately, especially on the old channel, he was able to be right there with me. Well, we started to do a couple of episodes. We did, I think one of our first episodes, we talked about The Thing, which, of course, as you know, is one of my favorite movies ever. And it's also a favorite of his. We watched that movie endlessly as kids. And I think we did an episode on that. We did an episode on James Bond. Um,
nice.
yeah. Oh, I'm telling you, Patrick, we lost some gems on the old channel, and especially early stuff that not many people now knew about. We did lose some really good stuff, but me and him, we talked about that. We talked about Get Out, and Coriander would always be really cool as far as giving an opinion on what she thought of it. Because you got to remember, we were still really new at this, and especially me as I guess my role is basically host and also kind of the man behind the curtain with how the video comes out and all that type of stuff. But she was really integral in a lot of ideas and also suggestions. And I said, you should join. How about if you just join with us on here? And I know she she'd probably get a kick out of this, but she probably won't mind me telling. But she did not want to do it at first, and of course the old channel is gone, but if it was still here, you would actually see, I think the first episode we ever did all together was Clue. We did an episode on Clue.
Okay.
We were pretty ambitious on the old channel because we did horror, but we also really went all over the place too. And of course,
But
uh,
that's what makes it fun, though, isn't it?
yes. Oh man, I'm telling you, we had some really great discussions. We really, really did. But we did Clue. And at first, she was really big about, well, I'll just, join on here and there. And she would have her image, on screen, the, avatar. And I said, you should just do it. You should just do it. Because she knows a lot of movies. Like she has a really, my brother probably says it best. And we just released this video today about wow, how we choose movies. My brother probably words it the best because my brother will say, Coriander has a really deep horror knowledge. Like she's watched movies from the 60s, from the 70s, today, a lot of foreign movies, a lot of, um, just a lot of cool movies like that. I've watched a lot of movies from various, horror angles, right? And my brother watches a lot of movies that, are more fringe. Like he'll watch anime, he'll watch, things like Lamb, he'll watch, and obviously we all watch other genres too. But I
It,
think
it's
putting
funny.
it together is what makes it work. And that's why I wanted to bring her in on it. So I really just dragged her into it.
It's funny because about that because I keep doing this. I keep throwing this out there once in a while. I'll keep throwing this one sentence out there. I keep on
What?
throwing out Neo Tokyo is about to explode because I'm trying to get him to take the bait with that because I'm quoting a sentence from a line from Akira.
Akira. Yeah.
Yeah, because you got the Akira in the back, so I'm going like
Yes.
Neo Tokyo is set to explode. I keep waiting for him to go like, "Hey, I know that. I know that. I know that." I'm like,
Yeah,
'cause
he
I
loves it.
love
He loves
Akira.
Akira. I do
Akira,
too. And
oh, Akira's the shit.
yeah, it's funny too because I think when we were kids, the first anime I think we ever really, well, I got into it because again, he's my younger brother, so I brought home this copy of The Fist of the North Star,
Okay,
and
yep.
it was in Japanese, and I still absolutely loved the hell out of that movie, and we used to, we'd imitate it and this and that. So that's kind of where it started. And I watched a lot of anime at that point, into my late teens. But then, at that point in my late teens, I had gotten a lot more into my own martial arts training. So at that point, I had kind of put a lot more time into that. But my brother, from the time he was in his early teens, mid teens, on throughout, I mean, he watched a lot of anime and movies that were also like fringe movies, which, like I said, when we first started doing stuff, I said, we've got a great combination. We've got three different perspectives, but also similar, like there's like bridges between all three of us. And so once we got Coriander on board, it just we just went for it.
Yeah, because you guys have and maybe you can address this too because this is something I was curious about too. But I've like I said, I've been here in the community for a year and a half, and speaking as a fan too as well. I
Mhm.
mean, were you sort of surprised to find yourself like the premiere? I mean, because let's just face it, you are. But do you find it both sort of like cool, but at the same time you're sort of like, can you believe it? Like you're the only African American horror channel that I know. As far as strictly horror goes. I mean, you really are. I mean, I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of channel. Do you think your voice is important? Because
Um,
nobody else is doing what you're doing. You know,
well, if you mean as a group, yes, but I mean, we also got King Needgore. We've got Rainbow Fright, so Curly Girl, the movies. So there's a couple others too, here and there. You know what I mean? Michael Myers fan. He is as well. He's African American. I mean, as far as like a group, Lady Shasha, so I could name quite a few. But as far as having a group or a team, yeah, we're one of the few, at least, in our specific community. Um, but I think it's good. I think it's good to have that voice. I think it's good to have, that sense of community and also being able to be a part of so many others' collaborations and channels and projects and things like that. I think it is important, just to have, that type of, you know, um, visibility, to kind of let people know that, hey, these guys, we're all horror fans, or we're all movie fans, or we're all action fans, or whatever. And it doesn't matter where you come from, how you're brought up, your religion, color, or creed, or whatever, or sexuality. And I think that's a fantastic thing. And I don't really, think of it myself, you know what I'm saying? Like we just talk about movies, but obviously it's there, but I'm happy to,
I mean,
if we're an example, then I'm happy with that. That's great.
when you watch the horror movies, I mean, like, you don't see the running joke is, and what's really sad. This is really sad too. The running joke is the black person always gets killed first in the horror film, right?
Right.
It's
Yes,
a cliche, it's a trope or
it
whatever,
is.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even kidding you. I was sort of astounded at this. I watched the movie called the Giant Leech. The Giant Leeches from 1956. It
Mm-hmm.
had it had James Best from Dukes of Hazzard, one of his early roles, and it had
Oh,
Ken
okay.
Curtis. It had Ken Curtis. Do you know back there in 1956, they had the first person killed was James Best's friend on his boat.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, honestly, Knight, I was actually upset. I actually
Yeah.
got upset at that.
Mm,
It wasn't funny to me. It's like 1956 and they're still doing that shit.
yeah.
How important is somebody like Jordan Peele to you both as as a horror fan? Is it, when you saw Get Out at Us and did you see the remake of the Twilight Zones that he
Yeah.
produced?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how important is that to see representation?
I think it's fantastic. I think it's fantastic on a lot of levels. I mean, obviously, him being African American, and he's got mixed heritage, which is even cooler. But also, and this just shows, like, for me, I don't really look at it like that. I mean, if I sit back and we kind of put it all on the table, or like in the discussion like this, is like, yeah, okay, this is what it is. But I just look at him as what I knew him as, which was a comedian, and to see him move from something like Key and Peele to being this director and now a producer of all these really cool, innovative and experimental type of horror movies. I think it's really, really cool. But it is great to have that diversity and that voice. And I'm excited for everything that he does. I mean, not everything I think is a home run, but I do appreciate the passion he has, because you can tell he's a huge, and he talks about it all the time. I've seen him in interviews, I've read articles. He's a huge horror movie nerd. Like, he knows his horror movie history. And that speaks to me because I'm such a passionate horror movie fan too. So it's great to see him have success, and hopefully that trickles down. I mean, you see Nia DaCosta with Candyman, and Chris Rock got the ball rolling
Viral.
for Spiral,
Yep.
and it's all, you're starting to see these things open up a little bit. And I think, I just personally, I think it's good for everyone. It's not just good for African Americans, but I think it's good for everyone to see those different angles, to see those different places. Because as a kid, and again, being a martial artist, I was fascinated by Asian culture. Fascinated by the philosophy, by the culture, by the history, and I couldn't get enough of it. And I'm glad I was able to see those things and be privy to it. You know what I'm saying? Like, if there was no Bruce Lee, maybe I wouldn't have had so many opportunities to learn about those types of things. So I'm glad that now we're getting a lot more voices and a lot more opportunity with people like Jordan Peele. I think it's good.
Yeah, I mean, Key and Peele. I mean, if you go back and watch, I mean, I had the first two seasons, but if you go
Hmm.
back and go back and watch it. I mean, he showed what he was capable of doing
Mm,
on comedy. There was a lot of horror elements into the that and they weren't necessarily funny. They were
right.
actually like they weren't. He wasn't doing it for the laughs. He was doing it because he could.
Yeah,
He was showing off that some of the horror aspects that he loved.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
yeah, he was showcasing before that. People say, "Oh, I
Hmm.
didn't know he could do that." Oh,
Yeah,
well, you need to go back and watch the show because he was telling me way back then that
he
he was
was.
born, he could pull it off.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
uh, uh, yeah, it's funny you mentioned that too. It's like, you know, I think with acceptance, like with Bruce Lee, like he opened the door for so
Mhm.
many.
He
He
did.
really did. He really opened the door for so many. You had people like Jim Kelly that burst through the door.
Yep.
I absolutely love Jim Kelly.
Oh yeah, man.
Steve,
Absolutely.
Steve James, rest his soul.
Yep.
Yeah, and there's just Michael J. White. I
Yep.
just think his wife is now a top-notch Jillian White, was a
Yep.
top martial artist. And,
Yes.
yeah, I'm surprised at that, huh? I knew I'd
Yeah.
get you with that one.
It's great. It's
I
great.
love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge Michael J. White fan.
Yeah, me
I
too.
kept on sitting there going like over and over and over, like I still don't understand. I truly don't understand. Uh, um, I don't know why he's not. He doesn't get the breaks.
Yeah.
He got Spawn. He proved himself. This
Yes.
one, like Wesley Snipes did Blade, and he
Yes.
blew up.
Hmm.
And Michael J. White did Spawn, and he did not.
Yeah.
Not to where he should be. I mean,
Right.
he's still a huge. I mean, he puts out a lot of martial art films, but
Hmm.
not everything is. You're seeing it at the video store.
Right. Yep. I
Now
agree.
the video store is over with. You sort of wonder, like, okay, are they going to get a chance to to do streamings? With all his movies going to go straight to streaming. Um,
Hmm.
and of course, he had Scott Adkins. He's probably the premier martial artist right now.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Good
yeah,
old Scott.
yeah, that
I
guy's
love
a
Scott.
machine. Yeah, he's fun to watch, and
He is.
he's very generous. Uh,
Yes. Yes. He's very cool. He's got a YouTube channel, and God, man, he's so humble. He's so humble, and he just seems like a good dude. And he's wicked gifted as a martial artist. It's almost not fair the stuff he could do. I
yeah,
know because it's hard. It's hard to pull off the stuff that he does in the movies. I've also seen him do his workouts and stuff. I mean, he's the real deal. He really is.
do you still practice yourself? Are you
Oh
still?
yeah.
What's your normal day like? Let's just say, let's say on a Sunday,
Um.
last Sunday of the month. You get up from bed. What are you doing? How is your day progress?
Well, you got to remember, I work overnight, so my days are usually flip flopped. But um, I usually try to practice at least a few times a week. You know, upwards of an hour or so, because I also teach. So while I'm teaching, I kind of sneak in my own stuff there too. Because we get to work out with the class and stuff like that too. So but yeah, I usually get a couple hours per week. I fit it in other words, whether it be you know movements or kicks or forms, meditation, all that type of stuff.
You mentioned you work overnight. I think you and John from Doomsday. I think you guys are both in the same field, right? You take care of folks.
Yep. Yep.
Um, so you have set days off. So that means again, it's like do you do a lot of your channel work overnight? Are you able to do that or no?
Some things, like prep, because again, when we do an episode, there's prep involved, or at least I do. I could probably make things a little bit easier on myself, but like I said, I and my brother is big about this too. He's always told me, I'll tell you if the episode sucks. He said, I'll always be honest with you because he's a big podcast listener and he likes watching YouTube. We both watched YouTube before we did the channel. So I try to approach it from the point of view of what do I think is interesting to me? What do I think will work? You know what I mean? So the prep, sometimes I am able to do that, at work, whether it's, getting my images lined up, researching anything I might want to add, in the discussion or review about the movie. One thing that we really try to do as much as we can, and Coriander really is the one that does this, is trying to find interesting tidbits about these
Yeah.
movies, maybe something that isn't readily known. I mean, probably a lot of us that are fans might know, but I try to, throw a few of those types of things in there, and she's really great about finding those things. So it takes time, it's a lot of research, and she takes time to prepare just ideas or notes or things she might want to talk about, and same thing with Killian. But the great thing about it is once we go live, I never really know how the episode will flow. I know the structure, the high points, but it could go anywhere within the episode, especially with live chat interaction. But that's what makes it fun. Like it's like
Oh
I
yeah.
I know where I want to get to, but I'm not sure how many turns I'm going to take to get there. You know what I'm saying? And those guys too, Coriander and Killian, that's part of what makes the episodes fun, because we'll always have those moments where we will have either a good laughing moment or something funny. One of us will say something funny, or one of us will laugh or something. And so yeah.
Do you find people in your live chat trying to get you to break character? They try to make you laugh,
Oh
to get
yeah,
yeah.
like you. And you do. But I love it though.
I,
I love it. That's
yeah,
that's what that's what makes it fun. When you guys, sometimes people will be saying some silly things. One of our big viewers is Lamar, and
oh
he'll
yeah,
jump
Lamar Jackson. Yep, yep.
yeah, he'll jump in and he's talking about how he's got a margarita and and a joint and this and that. And it's so funny because it's almost like when I read the comments, it's like I can hear a voice, you know what I'm saying? And especially with
Right.
people I know, like you. Like when I read your comments, I hear you saying it, Patrick. You know what I'm saying? But I kid you not, if nothing else, with both of these channels, and of course, I really don't think about the old channel much. I really just focus on this. But that's that's the magic of it, is us talking about movies, but also the conversation, with the live chat with you guys. That's what makes it so much fun. That's why Slasher Movie Club, that's where that idea really came from. Because I said to Coriander, I said, we talk about movies or we review them, but what if we did a thing where it's almost like truly just more conversational style with whoever would join us? And of course, you got to give a series some time to
Slasher
progress.
Movie Club is the best. It really
It's
is.
fun.
It is so much fun. It's
Yeah.
almost it's just so much fun to work, because I just see it as a struggle. It's like, okay, will Knight be able to get 30 minutes out of Coriander before Coriander says, "Oh, fuck this shit," It's like, when she's sitting there going, and you're sitting there going, and you go like, oh, what did you think of that scene? And you're sitting there at the 4 minute mark, and you hear this, then then it's on. It's on. It's like, oh yeah, he's gonna work tonight.
Yeah. It's funny too, because and we all three of us do this with each other too, and we've done it. And usually it works out for the best of the episode. Every once in a while, it's kind of like a dud, but we all pick with each other too. Like there's been times Kill's done that to me, or Coriander does that to us. And of course, every once in a while, I'll do that to them. And when it works right, it's seriously some of the most fun that we have on our episodes. It's just having those laughs from nowhere, or if we're talking about something that only we know is funny, and there'll be times where even live we're laughing, and I'll say no one else is understanding why we're laughing. No one else will get this joke, but we're having fun. You know what I mean? So
Your
it's
your tier shows are like that. I mean, those tier shows are
yes,
a lot of fun.
yes.
It's funny because it's sort of nice to see a nice, a lot of times, because this is another thing that drives me nuts too. Is I'll sit there and I'll watch some of these channels, and they'll bring on these shows,
Mm,
and oh my god, they take it so damn serious.
yeah,
I
yeah.
can never understand that, whether it be Star Wars or superheroes or any. I mean, they're
Yeah.
talking like it's life and death. And it's like it's just a movie, dude.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it's like I understand. I do. I'm not going to disrespect anybody for saying this. I understand when it's a serious movie. You
Yeah.
know, when it's a serious movie like The Exorcist. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I understand. When you come back there and you want to talk about that movie and it's and you want to keep it reverent. I do. I
Yeah.
get. But some of these movies that people talk about and they're like, they take it to they take it to the next level as far as this is canon or this is without
Right.
you know I you just want to go back there and say, listen, the first thing that you get in watching film is it's fun. It's fun to watch a movie. Maybe
Right.
maybe the subject matter isn't fun.
Yeah.
Maybe you won't find it fun, but it's
Yep.
supposed to be fun. The experience itself is supposed to be fun.
Right.
Um,
Yep. I agree.
it seems I'm just checking here. Coriander mentioned before the pandemic, you're entering tournaments and winning first and second place. What discipline do you practice?
Kung Fu and Tai Chi.
Oh, okay. Those
Mhm.
are both those truly are Tai Chi, especially. That's just really based in self defense, right?
Well, Kung Fu is Tai Chi. Well, Tai Chi started out as a martial art. Now it's more as a wellness art. I practice it more as a wellness art and teach it more as a wellness art. But the Kung Fu obviously is plenty with the whole self-defense aspect of it. Both are Chinese. So, and they're really, and my teacher, I remember when he first told me this, they're really the opposite ends of the same coin, you know?
Yeah, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
Um, do you guys have any questions for Knight? You can go ahead and start dropping some questions in the chat. Any questions you ever wanted to ask him, but afraid to, feel free to start dropping them. Um, uh, let's see. Larry's mentioning what Attack of the Killer Tomatoes isn't serious. Yeah. What's your guilty pleasure, Knight? Give me 2 or 3 movies that are your guilty pleasures that maybe people don't know that you like.
Well, and I might have mentioned this on some episode, I can't remember, but and my brother kids me about this a lot, although he also is a fan of this, but I absolutely loved the Resident Evil movies. And I know that number one, they were not very faithful to the video games because I did play the video games. And number two, I know that most of them are not technically thought of as good movies, but I
Mhm.
absolutely love them.
The first
All
two
of
were
them.
Godhead.
Yes.
Who didn't like the first two?
Yeah, I mean, when that first movie came out, it was kind of like, wow, it really, it was something.
That
I'm
that
not
that laser scene was so bad. At my whole
yes.
the whole theater was like, "What the hell?" That first scene,
Yes.
oh man, that was cool as hell. That was
Yes,
cool
yes.
as hell. Uh,
Absolutely. But yeah, I love the Resident Evil movies. I said this once on one of our uh Deadly Venom streams, which got a really big laugh, especially from Monty G, the horror miser Monty G. For whatever reason, I do not have the biggest issue with Exorcist 2. And I don't know if it's just because when I saw it as a kid, I was of a certain age, but I know it's nowhere near as good as 1 or 3. 3 is actually a very good movie too and very underrated, The Exorcist 3. But I I watched The Exorcist. I watched Exorcist 2, The Heretic. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it is definitely a movie that, I
uh,
don't mind.
we do have a question for you, coming from the Dutch film buff. He says, "Have you ever seen Tai Chi Master with Wu Ping, with Jet Li and Michelle Yeoh?"
Oh yeah, I love that movie. That movie that was a special, again, we talked about special movies kind of in horror. That was a very special movie martial arts wise because at the time that I watched it, I had just, well, I won't get into a long story about it, but I studied kung fu first before tai chi. And once I got, I don't know, maybe halfway through my training, my teacher started to kind of rope us into tai chi. And of course, being, a teenager, we weren't really thinking about doing, slow, methodical movements. We wanted to be jumping and flipping and running and kicking and fighting. But I did get into Tai Chi, and when I saw that movie with Jet Li, first of all, Jet Li is just amazing, anyways. But it really spoke to me because he was just so fluid, and yeah, so I absolutely love that movie. I've got it. I've got it on VHS. I've got it on DVD. So it's a great movie.
How many movies do you have in your collection?
Oh wow, man. Well, I can tell you this, and it's almost. I think I talked about this once with Phil from Phil's Creepy Videos, but when I had when I had my full collection, my full physical collection of movies, especially once I got into DVDs, I probably had close to maybe 1,200 movies or so on DVD physically. And I actually, through the process of moving and stuff like that, I actually um, dwindled that collection down maybe by 60% or so. And it was heartbreaking, heartbreaking.
Right.
But, when you have that many movies, and I'm sure you know what it's like, when you have that many movies, it takes up a lot of space. Like when I would move, especially when I was a young guy, um, that was the most that I was moving was physical media, stuff like that, because I had a lot of movies, had a lot of CDs, because I was, obviously I'm a huge music lover too. So within the last couple of years, I've actually sized down quite a bit, and it was heartbreaking.
You're gonna try to go back and get some of those that you lost, or are you gonna try to rebuild?
Well, I don't know, Patrick. And it's funny because listening to you or listening to Phil or Ken from Mid-Level Media and so many other great collectors, Goraphobe, it's almost like I lived through you guys, you know what I'm saying? Because to have that many movies, and I still have a lot of movies. I still got a ton of movies, but it's like it just takes up so much space. And I don't know, because it's a lot of money too. It's a lot of money. Hell of a
Yeah,
lot of money.
some of the collectors. Yeah, I mean that's there's like someone mentioned another horror fan mentioned that he meant she got sort of burned out because she felt like there's some channels, and I have to agree with her. I agree with her about this. There's a difference between a collector that watches movies and someone who does show and tell. You know,
Mhm.
I got this today, okay,
Yeah.
and then a year later from now, it'll still be in his package. You know what I'm saying? It's like you spent $80 for it, but you haven't watched it.
Mhm,
Oh,
mhm.
then and it's like, um, I'm sort of, for me, to me, it's like it's the hunt. It's like when I go out and look for it. I'm a budget collector,
Mhm.
so to me, it's like trying to find it for the cheapest price possible.
Mm,
Uh,
yeah.
unless I just get a Jones for it. Like,
Yeah.
I really want to see Saint Maud, so I went out there and I bought it off of eBay.
Mm.
Yeah, I really wanted to see it that bad. Um, I know. I think I'm going to lose my fanboy credibility because I went out there and bought an A24 film like that. But uh,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, how but yeah, I mean, there are some folks out there that will go out there and they'll have the money and they'll
Yeah.
spend all that crazy money and then they'll come out there and they'll show and tell it. I got this, I got this.
Mhm.
I've always said that the horror community should make a T-shirt. Someone should make a T-shirt that has a DVD or a Blu-ray or 4K on it, and
Mhm.
on the front of the shirt says, "I have this," and then on the back of the shirt, "But I haven't washed it yet."
That's a good one.
Because it's just like I know there's so many out there. It's like someone will say, have you seen this movie? No, I haven't. I got a copy of it. Does that
Right.
count?
Yes.
I'm gonna go ahead and start thinking about wrapping this up with you because I know, wow, it's going by fast today. But I want to
Time
talk
does
to
fly.
you. I wanted to ask you, what are your 5 favorite YouTube channels?
Oh, geez, Patrick.
Yep,
That's not
I put you on
fair.
the spot. I want to hear. I want to hear five of your favorite. Not five. I want to hear your 5 favorite channels that you like the most. It's all
Now,
right. You can
now, are we talking that I watch the most overall, or are we talking within the community?
within the community. What are your 5 favorite within the community?
The channels I watch the most, and obviously this makes quite a bit of sense, but most of them, I'm pretty sure most of them are channels that I've watched since I got into the community. I would say, and let me just think about it. Phil, I mean, I watch Phil stuff quite a bit, and Phil, it's funny because Phil, he does like multiple things, right? Because he'll talk about movies, he'll talk about collectibles, he'll talk about things that he likes and stories about how he got into stuff. But then he'll also do his live streams. You know what I'm saying? And his
Right.
live streams, it's it's so interactive. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it's literally about him and whoever's in the chat. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, a lot of times I'm in it, and it's so much fun. And I always he jokes about it too, but I always tell him seriously, and I do mean it. The way he handles the live chat and the way he maneuvers, like on a dime, and you know how that is because you've done live streams a lot too.
Yeah.
Um, has always really inspired me because I always say to myself, I got to be quick like Phil because Phil's just quick, like you're not going to stump him, and if you do, you'll never know. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
So I gotta say Phil, because I've been in so many of his live streams and they're so much fun. And he's just that type of guy. He just has that type of personality that just always grabs you. Um, that was kind of an easy one because I do see his stuff a lot. Yeah, Corey, King Need Gore. He's had wonderful content for so long. A very close friend, and when we got a chance to nominate HorrorTuber, he was just the first one, in my mind to nominate, and so that was an easy one. But I've watched so much of his material, his reviews, his style. He also does music, which of course speaks to me as well because I love music and I love hip hop, and I used to dabble in that as well. So I would definitely say his channel. Um, God, man, it's hard to it's hard to pick
You
another
only got 3 more
three.
to go.
Um, I'm just trying to think of whose channel I spend the most. Well, I do spend a lot of time on your channel. And I'm not just
We
saying
will.
that because I'm on with you, but I do
Oh,
spend a lot of time on your channel, and obviously we collaborate quite a bit.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I absolutely. I mean, I'll probably get heat from Hobbs here, but I absolutely love the Sunday night the ISC show.
Yeah, it's fun.
It's so cool. I love it. It's so much fun.
It
Um,
is.
I look forward to it. I'm sitting over
Yeah.
here, even before we get into like Bones, Ben's hosted at this time, and
Yes.
I'm already sitting over there at Coriander going like, so Coriander, what are you getting? What are you picking? Who are you picking? Who you picking? I
Every
don't know. I don't
every
know
episode has
yet.
been so much fun, you
Yeah,
know?
I don't know yet. And says, well, like, okay, next day, Coriander, yeah. Who are you picking? What are you picking?
Yeah. When
uh,
we did Cold in July, I mean, seriously, when I finished watching it and I told Coriander, I was like, this was such a good effing movie. Like it was so layered,
yeah.
and I would have never known about it. I would never see. Well, maybe someday I might have, but probably not. So you picked a winner. I mean, we've all picked pretty good movies so
Oh yeah,
far.
we picked the outstanding movies. I've
Yeah,
been I'm totally psyched. I'm psyched for Ben's.
Yeah,
Ben's
yeah,
movie sounds like it's gonna be off the chain.
yeah.
Kill
Kill
set,
list,
kill list. Oh
kill
my
list.
god, that thing looks
Yeah,
absolutely bonkers.
yeah.
Um, I thought the
But yeah,
Devil's Candy was really trippy.
oh, it was, man. I've loved all the movies we've done. They've been fun. So I mean, so yeah, I mean, I spend a lot of time on your channel. Um, Geez, man, to think about who the other two places would be. I will tell you
How,
this,
how
like
about
right
this?
off.
How about if we do this? I'll get you off the hook a little bit. How about recommending two channels that we should know about that maybe we don't?
Neon Black Reviews.
Okay.
That's Neil. And I've said this to him, and I actually started a playlist on my channel with recommendations, which I'm still filling it up with people, because usually I either want to ask people first, so they would know. And of course, I've got our episodes on there too, and some of your stuff. But Neil, there's something about him that I just enjoy listening to him talk about movies, man. And again, that's kind of the magic, is if you connect with a creator, as a viewer, you like them, or you like their personality or their style, or it's just something that you maybe can't put your finger on. He's that guy for me, and he won Horror Tuber of the Month, and I was really happy for him. But he's nowhere near his channel is nowhere near where it should be, based upon his knowledge, and he's just a cool dude. He's just a really humble, cool dude. So I would definitely say Neon Black Reviews. I really enjoy watching his stuff. I've fallen behind on a lot of watching of stuff in the last month because of just so much stuff in the holidays. But
Yeah.
I think his channel is a great channel. I think Rainbow Fright is a great channel. She's got a great channel. She's a little bit newer in the community. She won a Horror Tuber as well. Ginger Ninja, Mr. Dan. Dan
Mr.
Dan
Dan O'Hare.
actually
Yeah. Yep.
Dan and he, I don't know if he's still in here or not, but Dan is the type of guy, like, and he's told me before, he's just kind of trying to figure out what he's going to do, or his setup, or this or that. I think he's just trying to figure out if how he wants to approach it. But if he did a channel and put the time into it, I like his mind. I like the way he works. You know what I'm saying? The way he talks about movies, his
Right.
knowledge of movies. I just love hearing him talk about movies.
You know,
Um,
I love listening to Werewolf. He's like that.
yes, yes. Mike is
Werewolf,
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah,
Mr. Danaher is still here. Yep. We're talking about you, Mr. Danaher.
yeah, yeah. We are.
Werewolf is excellent.
Yeah, Mike
Um,
is awesome. It was funny because I met him. It was funny because we did an episode of all movies. I think it was Alien Covenant, and he left me a comment where we kind of talked a little bit about it, and our gripes with it, because we had some gripes with it, and we just kind of went back and forth a little bit on it, and just talking about, we realized that we both had common ground or whatever. And then I found out he had a channel, or he started a channel. I think that's how it went. And he was so cool to, I had a couple times I was a guest on it, and I really enjoy the way he talks about movies too. He
I
really,
do too.
he's awesome. He really is. And I'm glad to see that he's growing, because he needs to be further along than he is. And that's why I remember when he first started rolling, I was just trying to introduce people to him, because I was like, this guy is good. You got to check him out. He knows what he's talking about.
Now there is one thing though, for that, because I agree with you about that, and I love his content. I really do. And that I will say this, that it's important to do this as far as you want to grow yourself in the community. And again, I've learned this from Hobbs. Hobbs is taught very well, and I do this now. In fact, I do it all the time. Um, is in order for your channel to grow, you got to be visiting. You got to be visiting other channels. If you're not
Yeah.
going to visiting other channels and leaving comments or whatever,
Yeah.
don't expect your channel to grow. You're going to stay
Right.
right where you're at,
Yeah.
because it's a give and take community.
It
You,
is.
you you get back what you put into it. So you don't sit
And
there.
YouTube doesn't help us
No,
small creators whatsoever. We get no real help from YouTube at all. So you have to find a way to get people to get to know you, get to know who you are, get to know what you're about, and hopefully if they like it, they'll watch or support it or kind of pass the word around. And you're right, Hobbs is really big about that.
yeah,
And I actually learned some stuff from him as well, because I was like, to nobody's gonna know what a Nightwatch Zone is. They don't give a crap about that. They don't know me either. But if I start to kind of introduce who I am and start to have some type of conversation and so forth, well, then maybe they'll say, "Oh, okay, well, let me see what this guy is all about." And hopefully, if they like it, then they'll say, "Hey, I'll check your stuff out." I mean, that's literally, especially on the old channel, obviously, that's literally what happened. I got introduced to Trenchy, the Soulless Trenchcoat,
yep,
and Marty, Trash Picture Show, a lot of those guys, Arthur and Ethel Cross and all those guys, and Corey King Nidgore. And all of a sudden it was like, wow, I'm part of a community, and then it just branched out. It just branched out like that. And so you're right. You have to get to know people. It's just like it's just like a friendship or any
yeah,
relationship. You got to get to know people, and they get to see what you're all about. And
yeah.
that's the only way you're going to grow. At least right now, the way YouTube works right now, because YouTube doesn't help you at all. And I
Um,
know that firsthand, because when we did the second channel, even though we had a lot of viewers and people that knew us and so forth, we were almost kind of hitting the dirt again, because YouTube didn't care about what we did before. YouTube only cared about what we were doing now with a new channel. So you do have to make connections with people.
see, Waffles is saying he loves his movie community. Yes, us too, Michael, for sure.
Yes, too,
Hi,
man.
Ariel.
Waffles.
Uh, uh,
Ariel, all right.
Ariel's in the house.
Nice. Ariel's
Wow.
awesome.
I
I
know. I
love
love her. I love Ariel's channel.
Ariel's channel is, I just want to say this too, and I've been able to meet so many other cool YouTubers, and even though I don't always see all of their content, I'm there, and sometimes if I'm not able to always comment, people like Ariel, Art with Horror, those
Yeah.
guys are they're just so cool. Like they're friendly, positive people. It's almost like you can't help but like their content, no matter what they're talking
Oh, I
about.
love Ariel's channel. Ariel's channel,
Yes.
the Tuesday night, the out and about that she does.
Yes.
I'm just like, I'm like, I feel like I'm going back in a wayback machine, in a time machine,
Right?
back when Target and Best Buy actually carried
Yes.
movies, right? Because they don't
Yes.
carry them here in Michigan. They carry them at Ariel's store, but they don't carry them out here. So I
Yeah,
always
she's
watch her
lucky.
channel, and yeah, she is. I keep
Yes.
saying that, I'm like, oh my god, we don't have anything like you have.
Right.
Our Targets have. There's enough shelf space for like 6 movies, and
Right.
and Best Buy the same way. You go and say
Right.
Best Buy. How about no buy, because there's no buy zones there. Um,
Yep.
so yeah. Let's see. Oh, you're welcome. I agree, Bones. Everybody's is awesome. Knight, I want
Yes.
to go ahead and thank you, man. I'm going to let you
Okay.
get out of here. I want to
Okay.
thank you so much for coming on. I mean, we could talk forever, but
Yep.
I'm going to say that for another day.
That
Um,
sounds good.
I really appreciate a very interactive chat, and I appreciate it so
Yes.
much. And yeah, we're gonna do this again soon. I
Absolutely,
will
man.
be, I will be, we'll be back on the 26th, you and I, along
Hmm.
with Coriander
Yep.
and Ben from Cadaver Club. We'll be talking about Kill List at
Yes.
8 o'clock on Cadaver Club's channel. Ben's hosting.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
Oh, you know what? I'm just noticing your friend Kubrick, 1972. God, and I didn't get a chance to
Brian.
yeah, I didn't get a chance to tell you how much I hate The Shining. Um,
Stop it.
I'm gonna save that for next time.
But yeah, thanks everyone for being in the chat too. I didn't see everyone, but Mr. Bones and Dan and Katie too, man. Katie's definitely been really cool. popping
Yep.
the popcorn.
Yep. She's
Like,
very supportive.
I mean, my
And,
goodness, just really cool people.
you know, a new show out. There's something new I haven't seen in the community. We talked about it, and we had brainstorm. So
Yeah,
now we have the final Ladies of Horror.
I
So
saw that.
yeah, isn't that,
Yeah,
now that's gonna be cool.
that
I
is
I
cool.
I've already, like, there's, I'm seeing right now, there's Ariel's there. Uh, you know, uh, uh, um, Coriander is going to be probably going to pop up, making an appearance. All horror, or all films, just for the ladies, because you
Hmm.
don't see a lot of ladies doing film review channels.
Right.
You just don't see it.
It's
There's a
true.
couple. I mean, there's a couple of that. There's one I know I won't mention because I don't want to, but there's one that panders too much, and I don't
Hmm.
like that. And there's other channels that don't get any love at all because there's
Hmm.
just not that very many ladies out there doing horror films. But
Right.
I love it. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to take off, and it's going to be pretty rocking.
Yeah, I
Now,
agree.
what do you got coming up next? I mean, you got before you go, you got what
Um,
day is the collective on the
that's on Fridays. So
right?
this Friday at 6, me and the boys will be together.
Okay.
And Friday's gonna be a busy day because we're also gonna be on a panel with Podcast Now, and it's like seven channels are gonna be together. So we're gonna do our collective show, we're gonna do Podcast Now, and then I'm doing me, Coriander, and Kill. We're doing our finale episode on the Final Destination series. That'll be at 9:30. So Friday's going to be pretty busy.
Wow. Yeah.
Which we've done that. We've done that type of thing before, where we'll do multiple lives in
Right.
in one night. But other than that, we've actually, it's funny because Coriander and I, we were talking about it yesterday and today, how we were going to approach next week, with the holidays, because sometimes people, they got their own things they got to do. They got families and all that. But then there's some people that really do want to see some content, or see some of their favorite channels do something. So we're hoping to do at least 2 lives next week, other than Slasher Movie Club on Monday. So hopefully we'll be doing something next Wednesday and next Thursday, or next Wednesday and next Friday. We're going to see how that goes. But that's coming up, and then we got a couple changes we're thinking of doing in 2022. I've been having some more conversations with people. Um,
You are
like,
keeping Slasher Mondays, though.
we're gonna keep Slasher Mondays. I'm gonna tell you what, Patrick, and Coriander will tell you too, man. We've been really trying to push it because it's done pretty well, and it's obviously a lot different than our regular shows. But I absolutely enjoy it. I always tell Coriander that it's a different type of feel to it,
Hmm.
and I think part of it too is because there's not as much prep in it. Like, we still prep it, but because it's more of a conversational type of vibe, it's just different, and it's really, really fun. And you guys that are there, like you and Neil and Lamar and Ginger Ninja and some of the other folks, Dan, Mr. Bones has been there. It's just fun. It's just a fun time, and I
That is a
absolutely
really.
love it.
I do too. I just, I just wanted this. I just know within the first 5 minutes it's gonna be this pure comedy, or yeah. That's the funnest show going right now,
It
for
is,
sure.
man. And that's another thing too that I really was so sad about with losing the first channel, because we had about, I don't know, man, maybe about 5 episodes of Slasher Movie Club that we lost. Like, when
Mhm.
we first started it, our first episode was Sisters with Margot Kidder.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and that was a Coriander pick, one of her hot picks, because she had seen it and me and Killian had never seen it. Um and obviously I said, well, I got to watch it, and we had our book that's kind of our roadmap, and that was one of the earliest movies that they had listed as, a slasher. And I said, this is an idea that we could do. And that's kind of how the whole thing came about. doing a slasher, movie club, but Sisters was our first. One day we're going to redo it, obviously.
Right,
But
right.
we lost a couple of good episodes. We lost Toolbox Murders, we lost Sisters, we lost Tourist Trap, I believe,
Oh,
and a
okay.
couple others. But we'll
Wow.
get
Yeah.
back to it.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are, I know you mentioned before that, like you wanted some of, you wanted us to come and watch the movie with you.
Mm,
I think part of that part of that is it's like I like to do that too, but like I don't have the movies. I don't
right.
I don't have copies, and they're not easy to get. You
Yeah.
know, they're-
Yeah.
and I don't stream, so it's like I can't stream it.
Yeah.
And I'm a physical guy anyway, and I just go back on what I remember from watching it when it came out. Like I
Yeah.
watched Pieces when it came out. I got it on VHS, and
Hmm.
I watched it on VHS. That's how old I am, and and or I saw it on cable. But that was way back in the early '80s, and
Right.
for the most time, I thought that's the only time I've ever seen it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
That's why I like doing those movies too, because those are movies that, not many people have seen recently, and especially me. Some of them I had never seen, and so that's the other part about it too, is it's kind of exciting.
Hobbs was mentioning that this Sunday, Hobbs will be back too. So this will be awesome. Hobbs is going to
Woohoo!
be back this Sunday. It's going to be the Midnight Hour's 1 year anniversary. I did not realize.
Awesome.
I did not realize that. I thought it was January, but he says no. It was December. I'm
That's
like,
awesome.
holy crow.
I love watching you guys in the midnight hour, and there's a lot of times I'm going to work, and there's been times when I'm at work and I'll have you guys on, and you obviously know that, but you
Right.
guys have great chemistry too, man. It's fun to
I
listen to you guys.
Yeah, we do have a lot of fun.
We
I you
do.
know I definitely love the Sunday night. When we get the jazz going, or and the laughs going, it's a lot of fun.
It is,
Um,
man.
all right, folks. I will go ahead and end this by letting everybody know that I will be back next Tuesday. We are going to have we're going to have a roundtable. We're going to have a roundtable of all things kaiju. We have Larry D is going to be with us. We have Cody from Coast to Coast is going to be with us.
Nice.
We got who else? We got Mr. Bones is going to be with us. We got Casey from Interwest Kaiju. And I
Casey.
have a secret guest. I have a special guest coming up on Tuesday. I think you guys should tune in to see who it is. It's a lot of fun. I can't wait to introduce her because it's going to be an absolute treat. That will be at 8 o'clock. That's going to be the only show that will be on next week. After that, I'm off unless I get Saint Mod. If I get Saint Mod, then I guess I'll be up on night show. Because we are going to talk about Saint Maud. I can't wait to see it.
We
I can't-
will. We
I'm
will.
so jacked to see this.
Right?
And it'll be my first. I think it'll actually be my second time I've been up with Killian. I don't think I think
Maybe.
I did this. I think maybe we did a Scarecrow, the Dark Night of the Scarecrow. I think we might have did that together.
Yes. Yes. So this will be like the second time. Yeah.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right. Yeah. All right. Stay right where you're at, Night. For everybody else, thank you again. I appreciate it, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.
See it.
Of course, now it's going to be sticky on me, right? There we go.